Yo, yo, yo. What's good, world? What's good, world? How's everybody doing? How everybody doing? How's all my peoples doing? Get this going. Go here. We're gonna set up the studio mode. We'll start off with the main stage. Alright, I think we can get started. I'm feeling really good tonight. I'm really excited for the stream tonight. We have some really interesting topics to cover. Welcome to the Junkyard. I am a junkie addicted to combos. That's right, it's your boy, Combo Junkie. And this is the Junkyard, okay? We in the Junkyard, where we do some of the most juiciest, most damaging combos on all of your favorite fighting games. But lately, we put down the controller, right? We said, where is it? Where's my controller? We said, we're going to take a minute. We're going to put this down, okay? We're going to put this thing down for a minute. And we picked up one of these, okay? We picked up the keyboard. We said, you know what? We're going to do some combos, like combining some of the latest and greatest web technologies to build something awesome, right? If you're new here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. That always helps. If you've been here before, welcome back. Welcome back. So our goal, okay? Our goal is to create a gaming website that looks a lot like IGN's website, right? So if we were to head over to the IGN.com site in the browser, just bring up the browser stage. Let's see, where's my browser? Give me a browser. All right, and that's the IGN website, right? So that's kind of what we're going to build. We're going to build something like this, right? And we're just doing it because we love games. We're not trying to build a popular, like, viral website. We don't expect to do anything with it, but we do want it to kind of be a functional web experience, right? So when we look at IGN, we can see they have things like stories. They have people in their system, right? So if we go click on Katie, they have people here. Sometimes those people have images. They have beautiful photo galleries. I think I talked about this on the first stream. I love their photo galleries. This is like one of my favorite things about their site. But they have all these bells and whistles that together, they come together and they make an awesome web experience, right, for their users. And we're going to do the same thing. Okay, and we started this series by kind of modeling out what our content needs were. In order to pull off a gaming website, we need things like tags. Tags are those things up here. Like one of the tags is True Detective. If we go back to their homepage and pick this Sonic story, there's a Sonic Prime tag, right? So tags allow you, of course, to create a piece of content and then tell it what category it belongs to, so you can deliver it to a certain part of your website. We also have our concept of person. So basically, if someone creates a piece of content, who's it by, right? So I want to be able to showcase that Kenneth Stewart Jr., this person here, may have a bunch of things that he's contributed or that stories that he's created. So I want to be able to show his beautiful picture here, his bio, you know, his job title if he had one of those, etc. Right? So we're gonna create ourselves a person, and then we're also gonna create a story, right? So the story being just any of these. When you click into one of these are these stories, and they are things that consist of tags and person and people, right? So you can have a story that has multiple contributors, so multiple people in your system can be assigned to a certain story. And then same thing for tags, right? This Sonic Prime Season 3 review story could have the Sonic Prime tag, but it could also have other tags, like maybe PlayStation, right? Could be one of the tags, or maybe animated could be another tag or something like that. So that's kind of the content model that we're going for as well. Over here we have elements being the things that you find inside of a story. So like CTAs, here's a poll that gets injected into a story. Here's a gallery that gets injected into a story. So we'll have things like that as well. This is a CTA, a call to action widget that gets injected to the story. So we'll have things like that as well. And let me go back here, the content model. So on Monday, I think just to bring everyone up to speed, right, what we've done so far, we've completed the content model, which is what you see on my screen right now. We've completed a couple of our main content types. We finished the tag and the person content type. On Monday, we completely removed the Next.js side of our application and moved to the latest sanity.io code base. We needed to do this to clear up some of those auto reload issues that we were running into. It's always good to start new projects from the latest and greatest software anyway. So when we first dove into it, we were leveraging this. Let me put my glasses on here. When we first dove into it, we were leveraging the starter kit, right? There was a sanity.io plus Next.js starter kit. And in working with it, we realized there were some bugs. And what that normally means is there are some things that are no longer supported in some of those older versions of applications. Like, for example, sanity.io, we were about, I think maybe 8 minor versions behind. So we were on like 3.2, and I think they're on 3.12 or something like that. We'd have to look at it, but we were behind the times basically. So we had to go in and update that so that we were using the latest sanity.io system. And we completely decoupled Next.js. I think what we'll do, Next.js is of course what powers the front end. When we get to that part of the process for Next.js, we will start from scratch, right? So we'll make sure we have the latest Next.js code base, and then we'll implement it manually. So we'll connect all the pieces together manually for Next.js. We also took care of a bug ticket. If we head back over here to our Jira instance, this is our project management tool. We had a couple of things that we did off stream, like these web series tickets here. We created the first video for the web series. This is eventually going to get converted into VOD form to a web series, so we took care of that. And then we also took care of this bug ticket where we realized that in order for us to tease something like a person page, like if we go here, Kenneth Stewart, this is a person page template. In order for us to tease something like this, we need to give a slug, just like a URL alias for this page, or a specific content type for the person content type. And we needed to do the same thing for the tags, right? So if I click into this Sonic Prime tag, this is a section that has a slug, right? /TV/Prime, Sonic Prime. And it's a section that's all about Sonic Prime, right? Everything on this section is going to be Sonic Prime content. So we needed to add, in our bug ticket, we just needed to add a slug to those field types. So we took care of everything in this ticket. Right, okay. So now we're moving on to the main meat and potatoes of our website. You guessed it, the story content type. Oh my god. Oh my god. All right, this is going to be the most complicated part of the content management system, but thankfully, once we're completely done with this part of the project, we can actually move on to designing our front-end web experience. So that should be a lot of fun. So what do we have on the plate today? I think I want to talk about a couple other things first, but if we look in the to-do column of our current sprint board, this is our active sprint board, we can see that there's 3 pieces in order to finish this, right? So we've broken things up into 3 separate tickets. The first ticket is just like creating the baseline content type without any other bells and whistles. So these are going to be things like static fields, really simple text fields, maybe some text area fields, etc. So if we go back and look at our content model, you can imagine that the tags reference field will be there, the title, the description, the subtitle, the slug, person reference. We'll do everything up into elements, right? That's where things are going to get a little more complicated. So we've broken elements out into its own ticket as well. You can see that here, build story elements. And then finally, and I'll talk a lot more about this third ticket when we get to it, but we want to think about whether or not we want to reuse some of these elements that we add to a story. So you can imagine I add a story yesterday and I create an element that's a photo gallery. Is there ever going to be a desire for me to leverage that exact same photo gallery on another story in the future? Maybe, right? So we got to think through that. There's a spike ticket that we'll get into that's going to cover that. So I want to talk a little bit about 2 concepts that I'm introducing today. 2 new concepts that I'm going to introduce. The first concept that I'm introducing, you just saw me mention that one of these tickets is declared a spike. Okay, so you can see here I even prepend the title of that ticket with the less than sign, the word spike, and then a greater than sign, right? Just to kind of make it obvious when you're reading through the tickets what type of ticket you're completing here. So what's a spike, right? A spike is usually a minimum effort, time-boxed sort of research task. Okay, we use spikes to answer questions or figure out how to go about solving specific problems in our product. Today we'll be doing a spike to figure out the plan of action for reusing those elements. The second thing that I want to talk about, so that's what a spike is, right? It's just like a research thing. It basically tells the developer that they won't be doing any actual code work beyond like a proof of concept. They may tinker without committing any code back to the code base. The second thing I want to go over that we'll start using today is the concept of ticket points. Okay, points usually get added to a ticket, and they are a way for Scrum teams to know how much effort a piece of work might consist of. Okay, so like how hard is it going to be to pull something off? What's the level of effort for this ticket? It's really just like a best guess. The idea with ticket pointing is to eventually get better and better at sizing these over time. So you can become predicted, right? You can become capable of predicting how much work you can pull off in a single sprint, right? So when trying to figure out how many ticket points, how many points a ticket should be, when trying to figure out how many points a ticket should be, there are 4 main things to take into consideration, right? So we're going to look at the overall level of effort. We're going to look at the risk, right? What kind of risk does this pose if we don't get it done, or if we introduce this to the code base? How broad does it reach? The complexity. Is this something we've never done before? Is this something that even if we have done it, is it a really hard thing to pull off, right? So we're going to look at that. And then unpredictability. This is probably the biggest one, right? Are there a lot of unknown unknowns, okay, when it comes to this work? Another thing to factor into the unpredictability category is like, do I know how to do this thing, right? Because if you imagine that you are a surgeon, okay? And someone wants you to do an operation that you've never done, you've never seen a video of it being done, you've never learned about it in medical school, what's going to be kind of hard for you to guesstimate how long that'll take. But since you're a professional surgeon, you could probably start to use context clues based on what you do know about the surgery, right? And then eventually you can say, I'm going to factor in some extra unpredictability and this is assuming that you're scoping out the level of effort, overall effort it's going to take you to do the surgery. You're going to put in some added time for your unknowns, right? Things that you know that there's this new technique, for example, that you're going to need to do in the surgery. You know nothing about that technique. You've never done it before, never watched a video of it, but you're still being asked how long this surgery is going to take, right? So that's where the unpredictability comes in. All of this stuff comes together when you're thinking about how many points to give a ticket. And one interesting thing, one last thing to note on the ticket pointing is we leverage the Fibonacci system when we're assigning points to a ticket. What's the Fibonacci system? Fibonacci is a sequence. It's like an algorithmic sequence of numbering that basically says the current number is always the sum of the previous two numbers. So let's actually let's go ahead and copy this, and we'll just do an example, a better visual example of the Fibonacci sequence, right? So of course 0 and 1 are always our starting points, so a ticket can't be 0, but I'm just going to use that for a visual example. So then if I was to try and figure out the next number in this sequence, it would be 1, right? Because 0 plus 1 is 1. Okay, so now the next number in the sequence is 1, right? So let's do these horizontally because it'll be easier to read. Then we have 1. So the next number in this sequence is going to be 1 plus 1, right? Which is 2. The next number in this sequence is going to be 3, 1 plus 2. The next number in this sequence is going to be 5. The next one 8. The next one 13. Because all I'm doing is I'm saying what's the sum of my first two numbers? That's 1. What's the sum of my next two numbers? It's 2. What's the sum of my previous two numbers? It's 3. The next in the sequence, 3 plus 2 is 5. The next in the sequence, 5 plus 3 is 8. The next in the sequence, 8 plus 5 is 13. The next in the sequence, 13 plus 8 is 21, and so on and so forth, right? And what that allows you to do is have very consistent sizes for tickets. So before you even get started, the reason we didn't do any pointing when we first got started is before you even get started, you don't know really what level of effort each ticket is going to consist of. This is your first time doing this type of work, but there are going to be consistent types of projects, right? So what we like to do in corporate America is we take a project that was something we would deem as a developer was a 1. Okay, so something that was like, of all the work that I had in this sprint, what was the most minimum effort thing that I did? Something that was like really simple. It was a really small effort, small level of effort. And I think for me, the smallest thing that I had to do in this sprint was probably this complete video 1 through 4 web series. I had already dissected this video, and the task here was to take the first 4 videos and put them together to create an intro video to the series, right? So literally that was just me taking 4 video clips, putting them on a timeline in the Power Director software, and combining them together and then exporting that, right? So if we had to point this guy, so if we look here, story point estimate, I could say this is a 1. And now I have a baseline to compare to, right? If I'm looking at another ticket and I'm trying to figure out what size that ticket is, what should I size that ticket at, I can always go back to, well, remember that time I did the video, it wasn't video dissection, whoops, this is gonna go unpointed. Remember the time I did that intro video creation? If that was a 1, if the video creation was a 1, okay, and I know what went into that, well, what about uploading the intro video? That's also a 1, right? I have all my description, my title, I have all the information for every social media outlet. Then yeah, this is probably another 1, right? So I can go ahead and point that as a 1. And then I can work my way through the rest of these and say, well, I know adding that slug field to the person content type was more than a 1, but it wasn't like double or triple that effort. It was just more, right? It was 2 fields, not a big deal. I did have some issues. I ran into some issues with the slug generation validation, right? But then we found out in the documentation that they gave us that out of the box. I'm going to say this was a 3. So when it comes to adding structure and fields to our existing content management system, we can always go back to this and say, well, normally when we add fields, small fields, we are saying that's a 3. And by extension, if you're adding a bunch of fields, you can kind of say it's whatever's after 3, right? So in our Fibonacci sequence, something that is bigger than a 3 is a 5, right? So I'm going to go ahead and make this, creating the story content type ticket we're going to do today, I'm going to make this a 5, right? I'm going to give this 5 points of effort. That's my guesstimate. And then for the story elements, I think that's going to be equally equally complicated, but not equally. It's going to definitely be less complicated, so I'm going to give that a 3. It's going to be a little less complicated than creating a story content type. And then for this spike, these are usually time box efforts. You don't want to be spending a million years trying to figure out a spike. That'll take way too long. So you want to kind of time box these, and we'll say, just as a general rule of thumb for our project, we never want our spike tickets to be more than a 3. If it's more than a 3, then we should break it up, right? Like we're doing too much in a spike if it's going to take more than 3 points of effort. So we're going to say, to figure out if there's a way to reuse these, we'll just quickly look through the filter capabilities, right, in the vision side of our Sanity content management system. And if we can't figure it out in, 3 points worth of effort, then we should probably move on. So I am going to give myself the full 3 points for that, because I imagine that's going to take us to tinker a little bit with the Grok query language. So we'll give that those points. And I just realized my water is somewhere else. Let me grab my agua. I'm gonna need that agua. That agua. All right. So I think let's go back to our notes. We can get rid of this. That's Fibonacci. So we know that and we'll probably cap ours at like a 21 or a 13. In my history, product owners, which is the role that we're playing when we're dealing with these Jira boards and sprint planning and things like that, we're being Scrum Masters and product owners. Product owners in my history, Scrum Masters in my history, and product owners, they don't usually like to see tickets that's more than a 5 or an 8. So they say if a ticket has to be like a 13, then figure out if there's a path forward for you to break that into smaller chunks. Okay, I'm actually gonna make this an 8. This was the video dissection task that I did. There was a huge learning curve here for me, and it took like a day and a half just to dissect one video. So I'm gonna make that an 8, and let's turn our video back on. I have my agua, and I'm rocking the turtleneck today with the glasses. I'm looking like I'm going to a speakeasy after this. Oh, I'm about to go pitch some spoken word. Snap, snap, snaps. Let's go. All right, so where are we? What do we have left to talk about before we can dive in? So we pointed every ticket. Oh, and when you're doing ticket pointing, normally that happens in the grooming ceremony. So on Monday, we talked about all the different ceremonies that go into a Scrum sprint, right? So you have the grooming ceremony where you just look at the work that the business partners are asking you to do, and you convert them into legible chunks of work, right? So I have here, this is a ticket to create the story content type. If we look at that, we now have an acceptance criteria. We got a small description. We've pointed it, etc. And then there's the planning ceremony, the meeting where you divvy up the tickets from your backlog, your product backlog. You divvy these up and put them into the current sprint, as many as your team can do in a single sprint. Then there is the daily stand-up. That's a daily meeting where you just go through and say, hey, here's what I'm working on today. I think I'm going to finish this, and that, and here's one of my blockers, right? And then there's the sprint review. So in the sprint review, it's just going over the things that you feel could be done better, etc. Hang on, one thing I do want to look up, because yeah, that Okay, all right. I don't know a lot of teams. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know a lot of teams that do a sprint review. Sprint review is usually, well, in my experience, that's when the tech lead and the product owner get together every week to talk about the different pain points in the current product, what can you do better, etc. So I did talk about that on Monday. And then there's the sprint retrospective, which is a chance for the entire team to come together: the scrum master, the PO, the business analyst, the developers, and the tech lead, and the QA staff, right? So actually, let's type that out. Who's in a scrum? Okay, so there's a scrum master. He's like the boss of the whole team. He keeps everything moving, everything going forward. He removes blockers from teams, and he or she, they are responsible for just moving the sprint forward, each sprint forward, and making sure you're following all the scrum practices and ceremonies and such. Then there is the product owner. This is the person that works with the business to figure out what exactly they want from your team to get done, and then they kind of convert those business requirements into potential tasks. And they work alongside something called a business analyst. And a business analyst is responsible for making sure that what's being asked for is something that your team should be doing, and what is there going to be value add? How does that sit in a priority? Actually, the product owner is more so focused on priority than the business analyst. Business analyst is just trying to make sure that the work that you guys are getting fed into your queue is work that you should be doing. And then you have your developers, right, which are obvious. These are the people that are taking tickets and doing work. And then you have your technical lead, which is the person that kind of oversees the development task. So when a ticket comes in from a business analyst, from a product owner, and it's gone through the business analyst stage, and it's finally gotten on a developer's roadmap, and grooming, a developer and a lead will work together to figure out how that ticket should get knocked out, right? So the lead just oversees the development on a team and kind of leads how the development effort is going to happen, like how that code should be done. And then finally, there's the QA, which stands for quality assurance. And these folks are just looking at your work after you've delivered it and making sure that you're following whatever the requirements were for the ticket, making sure that by introducing your code, you didn't break anything else. So you do all sorts of regression testing and things like that. So this is usually what a Scrum team is made up of. Let's look at, I want to see something. I want to look at business analyst versus product owner real quick. I want to just make sure. Business analyst has close relationship with the stakeholders. Okay, so the business analyst works more with the stakeholders, and the product owner is making sure that we're delivering the best experience for the end user. So that makes sense, right? So essentially their goals align, just like the whole goal of the Scrum aligns, but more so for the product owner and the stakeholders, they have a Venn diagram, so to speak, right? You can actually see it here. Right? They have a sort of Venn diagram where if my main focus is on the users and yours is on the stakeholder, well, then we should be delivering a product where those two things, they can collide, right? So imagine we go back to that Rubik's Cube website that we were talking about last time, or even looking at our news website, our gaming news website. So our product owner is going to be making sure that the way we create these tools, right, that they're done in such a way where it's user-friendly for our publishing partners. So when you think about the story content type, the person content type, is it easy to create those things? Is it easy to find them, etc.? Does it look good? And then the relationship with the stakeholders, our business analyst is going to make sure, hey, is the content type that you created, does it meet all the requirements to support our stakeholders' needs, right? Like our stakeholders gave us a very clear content model. Does what you guys have done meet those needs? And that'd be the business analyst's main focus. Okay, so I think we're good. Done with the explanation side of this. I always like to lead in with a lot of information. Of course, this is eventually going to be long form VOD content, so I will be dissecting this at some point and converting these explainers into a single chapter in the series. But now I think we are ready to get started with some actual work. So in order to do that, we first need to check out our latest code. Right, so we have this Sanity Clean project here. We're gonna create ourselves a new branch. We'll come over here to our Jira instance. Ooh, this over as far as it can go. And then here, it looks like there's already a branch. Oh no, there is no branch here. Okay, so we're gonna add a branch by clicking this little plus button, and sure. Oh, so they just want you to do it in they want you to do it in your local. I'm gonna do it in GitHub because I want to I just want to keep the tracking for everything we do within this interface. I could easily do that over here in my local environment. I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to do it in the interface. So we're going to look at this Next.js sanity clean. We're going to branch from develop, right? We branch from develop. Remember, develop gets merged into main at the end of a cycle, a release cycle. So we're going to eventually merge this code back into main. But for now, we're going to branch from develop because develop should be our latest code at any given time. Okay, so the branch was created. And here it is. And if I go, there's an easy way to copy this. If I hit these branches, here's our branch right here. I can just hit that copy button. And now we're going to come back over to our IDE. So I will try and remember this today. Let me move this around a bit. This is going to make it easier for me. So I don't need that, but what I do need is this needs to be here as well. All right, so now, yeah, I should be able to jump around a lot easier now. So if we come back over to our IDE stage, make sure that the IDE is on the right thing, and I think it's this index.ts. That looks right to me. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we come back to our IDE. We are already wired up and ready to go. This is that latest sanity environment that we built last time. We're going to do a git checkout. Actually, we can just paste now because we actually, no, we can't just paste. So we're going to do git checkout, and then we're going to paste the branch that we just copied. So remember when we were over here in the browser, we hit this copy button here, and that allowed us to quickly copy that. And then now we just paste it here, right? So if I hit enter, looks like we have some local changes. We have to stash them. These are some of the changes that we made outside of the branch that we were on. So we're gonna go ahead and stash those, and then we'll do our checkout. And then what we're gonna do is a git stash pop. That basically says those changes I just did, go ahead and pop those back onto the current branch for me. So now we have a merge conflict. We can go ahead and solve that pretty easily. We'll come over here to the VS Code source controller, and we'll look at what they're complaining about. Looks like there's some issues with my, I changed my version number here. I did that on purpose. I wanted it to match what I found in my configurations at the time. So I'm gonna go ahead and I will say, oh, this is file deletion, it looks like. Did I delete a file? .tsx. We deleted the .tsx version of this in place of the .ts version. But I think we actually want the... Wait, I don't even think we're using this right now. I don't think we're using this. Let's go to the config and see if we're actually even using this. The iframe plugin pane. We need to download that, but I don't think we're using it. Yeah, we're not using it, guys. It would have been here. And this looks old to me as well, doesn't it? Hang on, there's some old stuff in here. No, it wouldn't be that, but this looks old to me. I'm gonna do a git pull. Wait, I can't do that while these, hang on, so let's just check out develop. It's saying they want me to merge these. Here, I'll just do a git reset. I think it's head and then hard. Hang on, let me see. Reset git branch to remote. I always forget the syntax for this. So this is gonna be Click one of these. I can't remember it. Yeah, get reset hard. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. So this is gonna exactly match develop. So let's do get reset hard origin develop. Master is the old name. It used to be origin instead of All right, I think we're good here. Now I'm gonna do a get pull. It used to be instead of develop, instead of master, it's main now. It used to be master, but now it's main. That's why we have that main branch. Okay, so let's do a get fetch as well, which it looks like it did just fetch my latest branch. That's the branch I want. So now that I think I accidentally closed out of that fetch. Okay, no, we're good. So now let's do a checkout of this branch. Okay, so if I do a get branch. Yep, so we're on that story now, and we no longer have those conflicts, right? But that also means we no longer have those changes that I made outside of this, which is fine. Actually, let's get rid of that. So now we're technically getting started with our ticket, okay? So let's get rid of that. I'm just gonna import these manually. Open this guy up, see what we have here. I think we're good. Get rid of that. Choose social icons there. We got some call outs here. I think these are gonna be yeah, these aren't real errors. What is this? Yeah, so we have a single change that we will need to take care of. Let's put this is fine. I think this is fine as it is. Let's go into static. I don't even know what static is for. I don't remember adding that, to be honest. Oh, nice. Huh, didn't know about that. We'll need to look into that to see actually what it's doing. That could come in handy. So we are going to do the KJ. It's gonna be K0, yeah. So we're gonna put this in alphabetical order. We're missing a comment up here as well, so let's add our comment. And we'll say the date string, and then it probably returns a, and then we'll say it returns a formatted date. And then here we'll say custom date formatter is the function purpose, right? So now that has a comment. It's like, get rid of some of these. I usually add a line between the params and, yeah, I'm gonna keep that structure actually, between the params and the return statement, because there could be 4 parameters and there's always just a single return statement. So we'll just end with the return there. And then I'm also gonna put these in alphabetical order. So I comes after F. Let's go ahead and cut this out. Let's always leave a trailing line here. PHP kind of taught me that. All right, and then, whoops, all right, one more line here, there we go. That should be fine. Okay, and then UV, that's fine, and let's make sure that's structured correctly. Give it a go ahead, put it in here. Turns bool if URL is valid, or valid URL validation. I could have sworn this took a keyword as well. I mean a type, but I guess that might just be PHP, so I'm not gonna worry about it. All right, so I think we're good there. I'm not gonna dig too deep into this. Just wanted to clean that up a little bit. Now we can come over to we won't worry about the structure yet. We may need to worry about it pretty soon here. It's gonna be easy to deal with though. It's gonna be just like these chunks here, but just with story once we create it. So let's actually do that now. Let's copy our tag. Yeah, we can, any one of these will be fine. We're gonna start over anyway from scratch, so we'll copy tag. Go ahead and paste that. And then let's rename this to story. Remember, we're singular when it comes to system level naming. But when it comes to exposing something to the end user, when it comes to them clicking on something that has all the stories, will be plural, right? So here we're gonna say this is a story, right? This is a story. We'll say export the story. But when it comes to the tags, we'll call these stories. And it is a document, and we don't know the icon yet. We'll leave that as tag for now. And then we'll get rid of everything but the title field. We'll just keep that in place. We're not gonna use it, but actually, no, we don't need that either. We don't need that. We'll do everything from scratch. We'll keep this preview, but we'll comment it out. I like to keep the preview as a starting point. And now let's go over to, oh man, I just did all of that IDE work and my browser window's open. I really need to get better at that. So if we go back to the IDE, what was I just doing? Okay, so there was a lot of changes that I just made, but nothing too crazy, right? So I added some comments. There were some things in the utils file, like some comment doc blocks that I wanted to adjust. Oh, while we're here, right? Here's one right here. That's not right. So this is going to be, slug is going to be the slug, context, the current context object. And I always put periods at the end of this, and then this returns a Boolean if a Boolean true if the slug was unique. Right? So now this is going to be determined, the purpose of the function, right? Determine whether the slug was unique. And then let's add some spaces up in here, right? So we said we would do one space after the params. Everything should end with our return clause. That looks good. We'll go ahead and collapse this again. And now everything looks like it's lining up just right. We can go ahead and shut down index.ts. We're good there. We have a tsconfig error being called out, but why? This might be one of those. Yeah, that's just literally a weird space character. Okay, so going back to this file, if we do Control Z a lot of this, what I did was I copied the tag.ts file, right? Created story.ts, and then I basically just went through and started to define all of these different things, right? All of these different bits of meta required for this document. So going through here, I'm going to leave these in place for now. We'll clean those up in a second, but this is a singular story type that we're defining. So if you're going to create this, it's going to be creating a story. But when you view these, you want the user to see a link that says stories, because you're basically reviewing all of your stories, right? So actually, just to bring that point home, I'm going to do npm run dev. I think we're in a good place to run this right now. So this is going to build. All right, we'll click open in browser, and we'll actually go to our browser. Okay, and now we can see we have people in tag, which we don't want. We actually want this to say tags, plural. Okay, so let's go back to the IDE and fix that real quick. I'm not sure where that came from, but if we go tag, oh, because it's using the desktop now. It's using the desk structure. I'm guessing that says tag, yeah. So that should say tags, plural. Okay. And I don't know if I want to use this. This is the structure resolver, so it's really, in my mind, this is normally for when you need like really complicated stuff. I don't know. We'll keep it for now. We'll keep it for now. It just feels like a redundancy to me. So if we go back to tags, like that's my title, but I guess that's my title in div context. We won't worry about it. Okay. So going back to story, let's go ahead and finish this up. So we know that the machine name we're going to give an individual thing that you're creating is going to be a story. That's the thing you're creating. And if our users, we go back to the browser, if our users are clicking on that thing, they're going to click tags, people, and stories, right? Stories, plural. Let's go back to the IDE. All right, we'll say stories. Okay, it's a document. We'll figure out the icon here in a second. Let's get rid of all these fields. I don't think we need any of these. We're going to actually pull slug out to a slug type field. Just like we have an image element, we'll do I don't know if I want to call it slug. I might call it unique slug or something like that. But you see, we're going to have to keep doing the same thing over and over. If we go over to person, I think we did the same thing there as well. Where's the slug? Oh no, slugs are going to be different, right? The criteria is going to always be different based on the actual slug, right? So this is a title-based slug for story. We'll need the same thing we needed for tag. So we could say title slug, and then on the other one, Name can just be comment. We'll see. For now, we can just copy paste that. I'm not gonna redefine that yet as its own type. We have plenty of those to do. All right, so let's get rid of that. We're still in story. Get rid of all this stuff. This was a really interesting one. The tag references. Doing everything we could to make sure that the tag result wasn't published and not in the current tag. Yeah, this was interesting, but this applied to the actual tag content type. What we need for the story is going to be different, and I want us to challenge ourselves to figure that out without having to recreate it. I mean, without having to steal it from what we created already. So that's going to be fun. Get rid of all those fields. We will comment out our preview. We're going to need it eventually, but not now. And we can also get rid of title. And we'll keep slug, but for now, let's actually head back over to the browser and let's see what fields we actually need. So let's head over to our whiteboard, and I am going to copy everything up to elements. We know elements, it comes in the next ticket we do, so the story elements will come after we build the content type. But let's build the content type first. Let's head back over to our IDE. We've copied all of those fields. Head back over to our IDE, and we will comment these out. Right, so now this is probably the order we want this to show up in. So the title, followed by a subtitle, followed by a slug, and then followed by a description, and then the author, which we'll call this author with like the option for it to be plural, and then we'll call this tags with also an option for it to be plural. And yeah, I think we're good. I think we're ready to start developing this. Let's just pull this slug field up, which is good, and we'll just say that the only field it has right now is slug. We all know that the next thing I need to do is add it to my resources here. So I need to say we had a person, we had a tag. So the next thing we need here is a story. Okay, and there's a way easier way to do that. I can just hit that and say story. Okay, and now if I go here, I have to also add it to this schema types that I'm exporting. So I will declare story here. And then now, last but not least, I have to get it to show up in my desk, right? So what I'm gonna do is, since S comes before tag, T and tag, I'm just gonna duplicate this here. And then we're gonna say instead of people, this is stories. Instead of person, this is story. Okay, instead of people, again, this is stories, and we're gonna say whenever the type is equal to a story. So now that that's done, I can go back over to our browser window, and we should see that those changes should be immediately reflected, right? So if we come back over to the studio, it said it couldn't find type story in the schema. Okay, so I'm gonna reload that. Don't know if that was a legit error. It is. Now we gotta go back to the IDE and figure out why that was complaining. Actually, let's figure out where it's complaining about too. Source path, structure path, root stories. Oh, I may have, let's see, did I do something? Yep, story and stories, that's fine. Yep, export story, that's fine. Back to, it shouldn't be in here. Yeah, it wasn't in here. Structure was in here though. Did I do something wrong on the index? Oh, that's story and story, right? And then that's story, so that should be good as well. Story, something else is off here. Let's find out where the error is coming from. Let's go ahead and open our dev tools. And this usually tells us like what part of the code is getting an error thrown at it. So let's go back to console here. And it's a bit, actually I'm gonna refresh that. But not find type story in schema. So they are being very serious about that. That is story. And if we look at schema, that's definitely there. Oh wait, did I not? I don't think I saved it. I don't think I saved that. Yeah, I just never saved it. All right, so that was not a problem. I just never saved this JavaScript file, which is a little silly on my part, but you know, it happens. So now we have the stories content type. It should have no documents, but if we go to create one now, we can see that it has a slug field already attached to it. That leverages a title field, which we don't even have one yet. So let's go ahead and create our fields, the rest of our fields. Actually, let me show you guys what I was just looking at in the browser. If we come back here, we can see now I do have my stories content type. And all I did here was I clicked create new document and it gave me this. I'm actually going to go ahead and delete this so we can see that from scratch. Go here. So if I click here into tags, you remember we do have tags, right? We created those last time. But if I come to stories, we don't have any stories. I can go here, hit the plus icon, which I feel like this is more modern than what we had before, guys. Like, I really do like this look and feel better. But now you can see all we have is that slug field that we added, right? So we are going to go back over to our IDE and get really busy with the other fields, okay? Let's do that. All right, so we need a title field. It's one of the easiest fields to create. We're going to do a define field on that, get our comma going. The name of this field is going to be title. And the type is going to be a string. And we're going to add some validation on this. We're going to say validation rule. The rule is going to be that this is a required field. And it's going to have a max of, I think what we said before was 80 characters. So we'll always try and keep some kind of validation on this field. Subtitle is going to be a little similar. Actually exactly similar. We're not going to give a validation rule. This isn't a required field, but maybe we do want to give it a max character count. I'm going to say something like it has to be no longer than, this is a subtitle, right? So let's see if we had to do that for person. Did we say that people can only be a certain length? I think we did. I feel like we did. It was something that was like 90 characters because when we saw it in the preview, it just didn't look right when it was too long. Here we go. Oh wow, 35 characters. Okay, so we're gonna make our subtitle kind of short, but yeah, I guess a subtitle should be shorter than the regular title. We'll play around with that when the time comes. If we start playing around with content and we see that that's not long enough, then yeah, we'll just we'll adjust it. But I think subtitles are all one word. We're gonna say this is another type of string, right? And then for the validation on this one, we will say that the rule is that it has a max. I think we only need max here. I don't think we have to have a subtitle. Maybe we should have a subtitle be required. I don't know. We'll see. But let's just at least say for a max here, we'll say, I think it was 35. And let me show you guys why that wound up being something we did. If we head back over to our browser window, right? The reason we did that before for this subtitle is because if we look at things like these previews, so like if you look here, right, that preview, this is the subtitle, if you lose, you die. If we go over to people, this is the job title right here. So you can imagine if we have a story, we're probably gonna want that story to look okay in our preview, which we can deal with that in a minute. But yeah, actually, you know what I'm gonna do, guys? Let's go over to IGN and just see how long their subtitles tend to be, right? And then we'll also see what looks good. All right, here's their subtitle. Let's go ahead and do character count online. All right, 58 characters, so we're already off. And actually, now that I'm looking at this individual line subtitle, I can actually see it being even longer than that. But what I'll say, you know what? I feel like our main title should be able to be way longer than our subtitle. But I could be wrong about that. Here's a really long title. That's 3 decks. Yeah, let's fix this. So there's that. Let's go over to our character counter online. And 105 characters. So I'm gonna say 120 is our cutoff for the title. We're gonna say 120. Actually, I got another idea. Let's see what Google thinks too, or ChatGPT or something. How long should story titles be for news website? Okay, 60 and 100 characters. Okay, so that's not bad. I'm gonna go with 100 here. And then we're gonna do the same thing for subtitles because we don't need to be perfect on this. We can play around with the SEO of this once we, I don't know why. 20 words or less. I'll just keep 35. That's fine. I'll just keep 35. I don't agree. I don't believe that. I don't believe that, but 42 characters. Okay, cool. That's a lot better. I can swallow that pill a little easier. So I'm gonna say 40. Okay, we'll meet them in the middle. All right, let's do our description field. If we remember from last time, the description, going back to our IDE, the description was a special kind of field type, right? It had to be an array, if I'm not mistaken. So it's gonna be, the name of this is gonna be description. Doesn't need to be capital case. Sanity's gonna do that for us. The type of this is gonna be an array, right? And then it's gonna be an array of what? It's gonna be an array of block. So I'll do a type now of block. And if I'm not mistaken, that's it. Really all we need. So if I come back here, go over to our IDE, go back to stories, get our test story going. And now there's our description. And we can see that that is exactly what we want, right? A single rich text field that can do bold and links and things like that, which is good. We haven't typed in a title or a subtitle, so generating a text is not going to work right now, right? It's saying that in order to generate a title, a slug for this story, so like you could imagine a slug is like / hello world, right? In order to generate that, this title field needs to be populated. So let's create our first real story. We'll say we will just bleep this from this guy. But we are going to say this is our title. And that's a really long title, but let's see what the slug that gets generated is. Robert Downey Jr. thinks some of his best acting went a little bit unnoticed because of superhero genre. So we can always tweak this. I don't like that slug at all. I don't even like this story anymore. I think this is a weird title for a story. That feels weird to me. I am going to do something that, let's meet in the middle, shall we? Here we go. This is a title that's not too long, but it's also not too short. Let's use this. We will go back over to, I'm going to pin that sanity URL. It's really driving me crazy. I'm going to pin this now because we need to keep going back to it. I'm also going to pin whiteboard, and everything else is just a loose URL that we don't need to pin. But I'll go ahead and make that our title. And then for our subtitle, let's move this over here. Take you guys to the browser. So what I was just doing is I was navigating to the IGN website to find a story that we can create some use to create some dummy content. So this is my Sanity Studio. Now I'm gonna add a subtitle. I already added the title, and then when I click the generate button, I was able to automatically see that. I'm gonna see how long this is. The error here is probably because this is too long. Yeah. So it must be at most 40 characters long. That we need to actually see if that's realistic. I really like this subtitle length. That's not bad to me. So I'm actually starting to think that they were a little shy on the character count. So that's 74 characters. That's actually not bad either. I'm gonna just go with 80 for that. I don't know if I want to make it like so little. Like 40 characters feels really small to me. So I'll make it 80. And we'll just rely on our styles. I'm actually going to make both of these 100. And the styles are going to make this smaller than this anyway. So, no, I'm going to stick with... Yeah, I'm going to stick with 100. No, I'll go with 80. All right, I'll go with 80. But, yeah, I'll go with 80. All right, so let's go back to our IDE. See where we are. So, all right, so we just made some updates. I got rid of that. It got rid of that validation error, so we're good now with this length. Now for a description, not to be confused with the story body, right? So if we go back to that IGN story, the description is normally, just a blurb about the story, like an excerpt almost, or maybe it's just a summary, right? But we're gonna use elements to draw the actual story body. What we'll say here, man, I almost don't want to use this story anymore. All right, yep, don't want to use the story anymore. Hey, I think we forgot something. Oh, you know what? Featured image needs to change. We're going to have to go back and look at featured image because now that I think about it, guys, really what we need is we need a featured media outside of elements, right? We need featured media outside of elements. So we'll have to revisit that here in a second. But for now, I'm going to go choose a better story. Sorry. I know I'm all over the place with these stories, but I just really don't like this one anymore. It doesn't have enough content in my opinion. So I'm going to paste that. True Detective. I'll regenerate us a slug. We'll go steal this subtitle. Pop that in here. And then now for description, I'm actually going to just take the first paragraph. We'll say that's our description. And then we haven't gotten to the rest of these fields yet, but let's see. Wow, really big paragraph. That's fine. Okay, so now these save all automatically, but they save as drafts. So technically we have a story. Okay, it has a bunch of fields, but we're not done. So it has a title, a subtitle, a working slug, and it has the description. Okay, and now we can go back over to the code and finish writing our other fields. So the next field here is the author reference field. I'm actually going to call this field authors now that I look at it. I don't want to call it people. Because people in our system are going to be both users of the system and people, which are contributors to stories, right? So the people that actually write the content, those are authors, right? It was my story, I wrote that story. But that might not be the same person that enters the story into the system, right? We may have a publishing partner, a staff member, who actually writes the, like takes a Word document or something from our users and adds that to the system. So I'm gonna assume that we can safely call this field, authors. Now it's going to be a type of array, and then that's going to be an array of references to person, right? So it's going to be an array of type person. Okay, and I don't know if we need to do anything special with this. I mean, we could add some filter criteria that says that the only people you can reference have to be published, which I think we should. So let's do options. Let's do options. Let's say filter, I think. And let's not wing that. I can't remember by heart. So let's just see how this works first in our browser. Back to the browser. Let's see how that authors field works. If I hit add item here, and it's trying to add an entire person document, right? Which we don't want. So what we really want, if we go back to the IDE, and if I'm not mistaken, I think what we really want is a, not an array. I think we do want an array, but it's going to be an object that we need to break out. It's going to be a type of a reference. And then I think the next field is 2. And this is going to be an array of a type of person. Boom. Let's see. Let's see if I actually remember this well. Let's go back to the browser. So let's add item. Let's look down. Yes. All right. So there we go. So now we can actually choose people from this system. Now, one thing I don't want is I don't want duplicates here. So I'm gonna go look at the sanity documentation to see if there's a really simple, unique validation, like is unique validator. And I don't know if that'll go on that. That might go on that array. I'm not sure. We'll check that here in a second. So if I go to documentation. Oh, I haven't been over to the. Oh yeah, okay, we're good. Yeah, we're not missing anything. All right, let me go back to the. Yep. There we go. Oh, no. No. Yes. And sanity. Okay, so now if we go reference, schema, and then I want to do, and I think I want to do reference first. Let's check reference first. Maybe this is what we need to say is unique. No, okay, so maybe it's array then. I think it's array. Yeah, validation. Yep, perfect. Okay, cool. So now let's go back over to our IDE. Let's say for the authors array, we're gonna say validation rule, which is going to return us a rule object dot. Okay. What doesn't it like? There we go. All right. Sometimes it gives us that false negative. Something else up. Yep, just the same one. Validation is a really weird thing that always gives us these kind of issues sometimes from time to time. All right, let's go back over to our studio. Oh, nice. We can flatten these. I thought we could. All right. So now we get a validation error, right? Hey, this isn't unique. What's the error say? It says can't be a duplicate. Oh, really? All right. Well, how about I remove one? And there we go. That cleans that up. So that looks good. Let's go back over to the IDE and keep going. Making really good time tonight. All right. So the next one we wanted to do is offer filters, right? Because we don't want to see people who aren't published. So let's actually see if that works out of the box. We're going to come back to the browser and we are going to add a person, but we're not going to add them all the way, right? So we are going to add Cora, Una, Junkie. We're going to give her a slug, which is Cora Junkie. Nickname is going to be Cora. First name is actually Coraline. Nickname is Cora. So let's actually generate her another slug, Coraline Junkie. Her job title is Adorable Pup. Her bio is this is hands. Let's put this proper grammar. This is hands down the cutest junkie in the junkyard, and her name is Coraline. And then we'll find a nice, adorable little image of this pup real quick. Let me pull that out so I don't show anything crazy. But let me just go find a cute little doggy pic. Should have one locked and loaded here. Let me see. Man, you can never find things you need when you need them. That's not it. Let's see. Your photos. Let's go down. All right, I think I found one. Did I find one? Let's see. I found one, but it's not just my puppy. You know what's interesting is I could have sworn I had like 1 million pictures of this doggy, and apparently I don't. But never fear, I know someone who does have 1 million pictures of this doggy, and I will just steal her picture. She won't mind, hopefully. Go ahead and save that. Put it in the combo junkie images. Trend junkie. Yeah, this is fine. Put it in here. Go ahead and save that. And then now, we'll be able to come back over to our picture and upload us a dog photo. Alright, a photo of my lovely wife and our beautiful puppy. Puppers. Alright, alt text, wife and pup. And then for the caption, two of my most favorite little ladies of all time. And then put a heart emoji. I don't think that. Two of my, what? My most favorite little. How about this? Two of the adorable little ladies I've ever known. How about this? How about here are two? All right, Grammarly, you okay with that? Jesus. All right, social networks. We're gonna say Cora Luna has Facebook. All right, and that's gonna be Cora the dog. Okay, that's gonna be her Facebook, and maybe we'll give her IG as well. We'll pretend that she has an IG as well. I like IG. I didn't even add IG. Oh, yes, I did. Instagram. So I do... Alright, assuming... Oh, Cora the God. Wouldn't you like that? Alright, so we got our little icons in there. We see that that's still working, but we haven't saved this yet. I mean, well, we haven't published it. Right, so let's see if we find that in this detective story, right? So we're gonna see if we add item, can we find Cora? We can, right? That's a problem. We cannot have that, right? She's not even available yet and I can reference her. So what we need to do instead, is we need to go into the documentation and find out how to filter these references so that I can only get the published person content. And I think it's going to have something to do with the keyword draft. So, and this is just you know, PSA to the Sanity development team, right? Having to do string manipulation on that draft dot key is really something that should be happening in the background. That should just be like a is published helper against any content type object that you pass to your system. So that's just food for thought. Like, that would be a really good addition to the software. All right, so I think it's going to be a option, okay, that we add to our reference type. Okay, options list, which we don't want to do that. We want to do a filter on the option itself. So we're going to keep going down. Here's the unique rule, right? We found that. Not work. This will work. Blah blah blah. All right. So they kind of left us in the dark here. Let's just do filter. Nope. All right. Well, that's okay. Maybe we can do something of like only published. Can you? What about in a validation? Nah. They said nah. All right. It's okay. It's okay. So this is modal. Controls how the modal is rendered. Takes an object with a type and width. No, I think what we're seeing is fine. Renders checkboxes for a predefined list of values. Okay, so maybe it's not here. Sortable. Yeah. Maybe it's not here. Maybe it's in array. Oh, we are in array. It's going to be in reference. Doi. Doi. All right, so... well, first let's see if they have anything that has to do with the published key. So disables inline creation of new documents from the reference field. That's fine. We don't need to do that. Here's the filter, but let's see if they have something out of the box for us to just steal. Because I am a huge proponent of not developing anything if you don't have to, unless you're just trying to learn. This doesn't look like they are looking at the state of the item, so we may have to just wing it. That's okay. So let's go look at this filter logic. We only need one. We can go grab anyone that has a filter method on it. And okay, so it's just this is an actual filter, and then these are role parameters. So we're gonna need we're gonna need something like this, where we'll still return filter and params, but we need to define our we need to say that, well, first we need to find out what gets passed in here, what do we have access to, and then we're going to need to say that in our person document, if the ID has the word draft in it, then we don't care. And actually, one thing that we can actually do to get in front of this is, if we're in a browser right now, if we go to Grok cheat sheet, I bet this is one of the most common Grok queries that like get ran, right? So let's do a search for draft. I don't want to look at this whole thing. ID matches anything that is not under the drafts path. Perfect. This is what we want. Now we just have to figure out how to find. We have to figure out how to find drafts, right? So I'm going to head back over to the IDE for now. We are going to comment this line out. We know that's going to be our query. We can get rid of this because this goes inside of our reference object, right? So now I can do this, right? And then we're gonna say, I think it's just options, which is an object, and I think filters is the other object. And I think this will allow us to say, let's just pass data, and I want to return, let's just say we want to return an empty object, and they don't like data. So let's say console.log data. All right, so they didn't like this. So let's see what we're not doing right. Let's go back over to the browser. That's just going to be ECMAScript issues that I'm having. Boom. Oh, so I have to return something in the filter and params, maybe? Maybe I can just do filter. Oh, no, it is outside. So it's wherever you see the type of reference. Oh, no, so I think I did do it right. Go back to the IDE. Wherever you see the type of reference. Okay, yeah, no, it's on the wrong level. So it needs to go. So this is fine as it was. And then this just goes in here. But now it does look like we can't, come on. What you doing? What you doing? There we go. It may be filter. Yeah, there we go. All right, it was filter. Okay. Now if we go back to our UI, there we go. If we go back to our UI, which is in our browser, and we scroll to the people again, I'm going to open DevTools because we just want to see what data it consists of. We know it consists of a document variable, a key, right? But it's going to be an object of something. So let's go ahead and click this. That's going to fire up the console.log we have. And what do we have here, right? So we have the document. This is the result that we just found, I think. That's the document that we're on. That's the story. Yes, that's the story. So if we were to write a piece of logic that says only show me results in here, that we already know that the unique filter is in place. We don't have to worry about that. But I want to actually look at the authors array, and as you add things to me, because I don't think Coraline has been added, right? Yeah, she's not added. This is actually just the list of options that we have right now, right? We have 2 authors that we can choose from, and we don't even want to show the duplicate, so we're going to also add him to the filter. We're going to say, if I am currently, if in my document I already have this author selected, then I don't want to see it, and I think that's going to be in the parent. So if you look at the parent, what's this? No, I don't think so. Yeah, maybe that's not it. It's not the parent, but we do want to say that this here, because one of these they don't even exist. Yeah, I think that the ref is what we're gonna need. Yep, this doesn't even have a ref. So we're basically gonna say the filter is if, let's think about that. If, oh man, it's an array too. So we're gonna say, hang on, I have to cheat for this. I'm gonna use the Grok cheat sheet because we need to work with well, first let's do the easy one. Let's do the _ID in path drafts. Okay, let's do that one first. So if we go back over to our Sanity UI, let's see in that document, these guys don't even have IDs. I think they're just refs. I think the ref is the ID. But there is a way to get the ref. There's a way to get that ref from the system. You know what I mean? Like there's a way to convert that ref into, because here's the ID for this story. So that means that if I can get these actual references, okay, let's destructure these. I'm pretty sure there's a way to do this. Let's just look for reference. Document that reference category. Yeah, here we go. Boom. There we go. Right there, right? So our filter is going to say categories, and let's just console log this, right? I don't think we can console log that way. But if I do this, right, and I say one of my filter, because I think it's nested at that point, right? I think you still have to return a filter. Yeah, filter, and then you return filter and params. So what we're saying is one of my, no, it's not that. It's gonna be a string, which is the actual, where that, here it is. Well, it's gonna really be this, right? We are saying that our filter is this, but now we need to figure out how to drill down into, because what I imagine is happening here is that data is, when you click that options button, it's just giving you, it assumes it has to give you every single person in the system, right? But what we're saying is that I want you to only give me back, let me see what another question is it actually looking at each individual one? I don't think so, right? I think it's saying, I'm gonna show you every one of those, right? So let's find one where there's an array. Wait, what is that? Hey, that's nice. And then the references are not this ID. Is that what this says? Wait, what is this? What is this? This is like a special way to deal with references. Yo, I think this is it, guys. I think this is actually how we have to do this. Let's go to Grok. Let's paste that and go to Grok. Okay, so, oh, of the enclosing person record. So, oh yeah, that means go up a level. But hang on, no, I think this is a magic method. I think references is a magic method. Because now what I'm starting to think is we want to say, here, let's think about this, right? We really want to say, sorry, I just need to think this through, because cast members with the array brackets around it, to me what that says is that we can pass in authors, which is the name of that field. Hang on, let's find out how to get authors. You see what they're doing here? Like, this is categories with a, so we should be able to say author's ID. Yeah, we should be able to do this, right? We should be able to say, let's just get that out the way. We should be able to say author's ID, not it would be not author's ID in path this, right? It'd be this, right? It has to be this. Graphs dot anything, right? I think that's it, right? I think that's it. I think that's saying, give me, we can play around with this too. I don't know why I'm acting like we can't play around with this in the video, but we need to start taking that a little more seriously too. That's like a shortcut. So let me show you guys the IDE and what I just did though, right? So if we go back to my IDE, I basically have a theory that looking for, if we go back to that other query I had, right? So let me go all the way back and just copy that. Oh, I already have it. Okay, so redo that. So remember, this was what we knew from the docs, is a way to say, give me anything back where the ID is not a draft. So I'm like, okay, what ID is it asking for? Is it gonna be the person ID, or am I gonna have to dig into the person and get it? So I think the first thing we should just test real quick is this, because it could be the case that when this fires off, it's actually only looking at the references, the ID of the reference itself, right? So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna comment, I'm gonna double that first, but then I'll comment this out, and then I'll update this to our other one. We'll save that, go back to the browser, and we'll just see if that alone does the trick, right? If we go look at these references now, do we still see and we don't. So we didn't have to do any of that extra stuff, right? It turns out that the ID that this is referencing, the underscore ID that this is referencing, is the person ID. So it already returned us back and put us in that scope. So this here would have been a whole bunch of craziness that we didn't even need. Great. Okay. So we're good. We can actually go clean up the person content, the tag content type as well, because remember we did a really crazy query there that had to do with all the drafts, right? So this was a little different though. Yeah, never mind. We needed this. This was all to do with relationships and making sure that you couldn't pick itself. Okay, so we got one part of our filter done, right? So if we go ahead and add a comment here, the first part of the filter is make sure you can't add draft / unpublished content. And then we need to say or, right? We need to also filter, we need to add one more filter that says, if I already have this content, I don't want to add it a second time. I don't want you to be able to add duplicates, right? So I think that's where that ID logic came into play last time for the other content type. But for example, we already have Combo Junkie here. If I click this drop down, I don't want to see him appear. So we got to say the ID is not an ID that's already in use. How do we do that? So let's find out that so here's some ID nots. Here's ID equal, right? How about duplicate? We don't really need to say that, but I'm just trying to clean it up, because if this list, so here's the thing, right? If we go back to the browser, whoops, wrong window, go here. If we go back to the browser, right? Let me show you guys why this is kind of important. We go back to our Sanity UI, and let's go ahead and close this out. So you can imagine at some point, we're gonna have 20, 30 people in the system. If I have already tagged 7 people here, but I want to tag maybe 3, 4 more, I don't want to keep seeing those same people as options for me to click on in here anymore either, right? I want it to be the case that when I've already selected a person, that person is no longer available in this scope. Okay, and that's kind of what we're trying to figure out how to do now. We're trying to figure out how to say that not only is there a validation rule that forces this to be unique, but also in the options that, like the list, the drop-down list that appears when you click that, you also can't even see the duplicate options there anymore. Like even they're stripped out. Okay. So that's what we need to see. We need to figure out if there's a quick way to do that. And here's one where the type is a person. And then when they're in that scope, they say not ID. So maybe it has something to do with that, right? Where it's not the caret ID. Ordering, joins, objects, projections, special. Hey, this is... there is an easy way to do this, right? We could just say, iterate over that array of selected items already, items that have already been selected, and then if, the ID that we are currently on, because that's the scope, I think, matches one that we've already selected. Hang on. Yeah, this is actually, it's gonna take us some getting used to, I think. Because I know what we want to do. Here's an array. But really, if underscore ID in... Yeah, let's try this, guys. Let's try this. If... Basically, we'll do if underscore ID... Let's go back to the IDE. We'll do this, and then we'll say if underscore ID is in the author's array as underscore ID. So, and this we want to say really is a not clause. Okay, so we'll go ahead and filter that now. And head back over to the browser. And let's see if that worked. I don't know if that worked, to be honest. Yeah, something is, it said please check the custom filter option. So I'm not doing something right there. Oh, I think this needs to be dot. I think that needs to be dot. Let's find out. Go back to the browser. Nope. So what we're gonna do, I don't feel like digging into this too much. So before we go too far down the rabbit hole, let's just go get our filter in order, right? There is a filter that we know works. Let's just go figure that out. I think this has something to do with us using the document itself to make sure that our ID is not in that array of data. Because if you go back to tags, right, we had to do that here. Oh yeah, this is it. This is it for sure. This is it for sure, guys. Yeah, this is it for sure. Okay, so I don't even need to, I don't need the, I can do this on my, I can do this on my own. This is actually going to be $ authors. And it's going to be ref, which is the ID. I think ref is the ID, right? I'm pretty sure this is going to work. All right, okay. I'm just that good. I'm that dang good, okay? Actually, I shouldn't say stuff like that. That was pretty cocky. But no, I went through this the other night. That's the only reason I'm confident about it. I don't think this needs double quotes either. This is the system variable. So I wonder if the other stuff, no, none of this needs quotes, unless it's a true to form string, which we are just saying, as long as the underscore ID is not in this authors array that I'm gonna now pass myself. So I'm gonna add some params. One of them's gonna be authors, okay? And then I'm gonna say this is actually equal to, let's go find out in our browser what that's equal to. So if we go back to our browser, open up our DevTools, we should have that object again. Okay. This is that data object. And we want to say, it's going to be document, I believe. It's going to be document.authors. That's what it's going to be. Just going to literally be, and we don't even need, we can use the spread operator for this because we don't need anything outside a document. We can just put document there. That's all we need. And then we can get rid of that. And this is going to be document dot authors. Right. Hang on, what did I name that? Whoa. Here I go again, working in my IDE while you guys are in the browser. Yeah, it's just authors, right? It's just document dot, hold on, let me make this a little bigger for the future viewers. Yeah, so here, this is that data object I was console logging. And then in here we have a document, and that document has an authors key to 2 reference types. And I believe using Grok syntax, we don't need to dig into these. We can just reference them as arrays and look at their ref keys if one exists. So I'm gonna go back to the IDE and try that out, which I'm gonna say that my authors array is document.authors, okay? And then here, this needs a comma. And then I'm gonna say the query is only only show people person content that is published and not currently selected, right? Or and has not been selected. Okay, so that means that we can't have duplicates in the list at all, not even the list that we see in that drop down, and we'll be dealing with that based on this authors param and the ID key for that authors param. And I think that has to be ref though. Let's go back to tag. Yeah, I think that's going to be ref. The ID and the ref matches. So this ID is going to match actually underscore ref here. Okay, so that might work, but I don't know if ref's going to work. No, because the drafts don't show up, right? So it won't have an underscore ref if it's a draft. That's okay. And if we've already selected it, it should not show up here. So let's go back to the browser. I think that's going to work. I'm pretty sure that's going to work. I'll come back here. So far, no errors, which is good. But now if I go to our combo junkie, click that drop down, and no, they still say that we have something wrong in our syntax. Oh, my and clause is the word and. Doi. Alright, so if we go back to the IDE, basically I had the word and. Whoa. Oh. What did I do? Uh-oh. There we go. Press Control Z in the wrong place. Alright, I had the word and right here. It needs to be double ampersand. So now we can go back to the browser. Alright, Sanity's gonna refresh itself. Now let's go back down to, we can go ahead and close this for now. Go back down to our IDE, open that up, and okay, so we're getting there. We're getting some progress. Combo junkie should not be showing up here though. That's what's not working right now. And maybe the authors array, maybe it is underscore ID. I just made a change on the IDE side. I just went and updated the authors array to reference ID instead of underscore ref, which I think is the ID value, if I'm not mistaken. But it's also possible that we'll see. Let's just take it one step at a time here. So we got the error out the way. Now let's see if okay, there we go. So that worked. So it's just ID. Now we can't find anybody because we already have a person here. If we were to remove him and we look now, we should be able to at least find Combo Junkie. Now if we add Combo Junkie and go to add a new instance of Combo Junkie, we won't find it. But however, if we go back to that Cora Luna content, right? This was in a draft state before, so we couldn't reference it. If we go here and I believe actually, yeah, no, okay. If we go here and just simply publish this content, so now this is a published person, okay, Cora Luna. Now if we come back here, we should see Cora Luna in the dropdown, and we do. Okay, now that we have both of these selected, if I click add to the dropdown, no results. And then if I remove, if I remove this guy now, Coralina shouldn't show up, but now Combo Junkie will show up again. Okay, so we have everything working exactly as we want. That's fantastic. Let's go ahead and not publish him yet. That can stay in the draft state. Let's head back over to the IDE and move on to the next interesting field that we have to create. That was interesting. I had a lot of fun with that field. I think that was similar to the tag field where we had to write a grok query, and oftentimes these queries are way easier than they feel, right, than they seem. In this case, all we had to do was capture our authors array and know that we can dereference that in Grok, right? Grok allows you to reference object arrays directly, so they do all the background filtering for you. Essentially what this is doing though is it's going to take the first author and say, hey, does this match? And remember, these are all instance based, right? So that author's array is, that underscore ID is actually going to scan against everything in that author's array. right? It's going to scan against every author in that array. So it's going to be like, is ID 1 1, 2, 3? Nope. Okay, well, I'll show this one. But if it is 1, 2, 3, I'm not going to show it. All right, let's move on to the next one. Is ID 2, and when I say ID 2, I mean the index 2. So imagine document authors 0 had an ID of 1, 2, 3. And the current ID that would have shown up in the filter, right, in that dropdown, was also 1, 2, 3. But it just won't show it. And then it'll move on to the next index to see if it should show this next thing, right? Assuming it had 5 results to show, it will scan through all 5 of those. And if any of their IDs has already been selected, now it won't show it. So our filter's working just fine. We can actually move on to tags, and we'll need something similar for tags. I imagine we're going to need a similar filter as well, where we don't allow drafts and we also don't allow the tags that have already been selected. So we will also do something with that. I am going to come back over to the IDE now, and we will define our tags field. So let's go define field. Go ahead and do that. Let's go name of this field is going to be, tags. And then the type of this field is going to be an array, because we can select more than one. It's going to be an array of the reference type, right? So I'm going to put an object in here and do type of reference. Okay. And this is going to be broken down as well, even further, right? Because we need to finish defining the reference type rules. So that's going to be type of reference, and then the reference needs a type declaration as well, similar to how we did it up here, right? So not reference, reference 2. So you have the reference object, the array object, and it's like, what am I an array of? Oh, you're an array of a entity reference type, right? Or a document reference type. It's like, okay, what I'm a reference to what though? Oh, a person. Okay, cool. Do you need to do anything further with me, or do you want me to just show you every person in the system? Well, I got a couple of pieces of criteria. Let's add some filtering options. Okay, cool. So that's kind of how I want us to start thinking about this, where it's like each of these were built in such a way where literally completing them tells a little story. And I love when developers and architects do things like that, because it makes it really easy to retain going forward. So we're going to say it's a reference to, right? And this could be a reference to several different types of things. We're going to say it's a reference to a type of tag. Okay, that's one of our things, which is great. Reference to a type of tag, cool. Now, what else do you need me to do? I'm going to need you to filter on the document. Okay, we should know how to do these by heart now. I'm going to need you to return a object where the first key is filter, and it's going to be some filter in there, and the second key is a params key that has an object of parameters, where our only param actually is going to be the tags. It's actually going to be a document.tags. Okay, and I don't know if that's what we call that tags field, but oh yeah, we own it here, right? So we call that tags field that. And now let's see if we can do this query without requiring these console logs, right? So if we go do this filter, only return tags that are published and have not been selected. Okay, and we like to put periods next to all of these there. So okay, so let's see if we can write the filter. We know the first one is it can't be a draft, so we're gonna say not underscore ID in path and double quote drafts draft dot, I think there were 3 or maybe just 2. Here, let's test. So this should be getting us out of the draft game. So we have to clear up this validation error. Okay, boom. So now let's go back to the browser, and what we'll do, this just reloaded. And that should work already out of the box, but I'm gonna make sure we add ourselves a new tag. Let's do our PlayStation 5 tag, right? So we're gonna say the title here is PlayStation 5. And this is This is gonna link to a page called PlayStation 5. The subtitle is gonna be one of the you scared you scared the rest of me. One of the best gaming systems of all time. Alright, and we have some kind of limitation on here. At most 35 characters. We're gonna go change that actually. Let's go back to our IDE. We had done that earlier, but we found out today that a title should actually be 100 characters and a subtitle should be 80 characters. We'll go ahead and stick with that consistency. Go back to the browser. Okay. What was that? Where's my phone? Someone just texted me. Oh man, we are blazing through this on this beautiful Friday night, guys. I'm loving this project right now. Writing some really cool grok queries too. I can't believe we pulled some of those off. All right. Okay, so PlayStation 5, one of the best gaming systems of all time. We'll go ahead and add an image. We have a PS5 image already on deck. And then we'll have some alt text. We'll say PS5 is the alt text, and then for the caption, we'll say, have you ever owned an Xbox? If the answer is yes, then just know I feel your pain. I remember making mistakes too. PS5 FTW, let's go. I remember when I used to make mistakes. But just know that I feel your pain, alright? Have you ever owned an Xbox? If the answer is yes, then just know that I feel your pain, okay? I remember making mistakes too. PS5 for the win. Let's put that in bold. Let's go. Let's go. PS for the dub. For the dub. Alright, and then for our description, we are just going to steal that directly from Sony. So let's do Sony PlayStation 5. Actually, let's say, what is a PlayStation 5? I like doing this because sometimes it's good to get the default dummy text, you know what I mean? So this is just Wikipedia. I think it's fair game too. I don't think this is if you did steal this, I don't think you get in any trouble as long as you source Wikipedia. I'm just gonna source that in case I accidentally forget to, I put this code out and then forget to remove that one day. So I'm gonna copy that link address and then I'm gonna source this Wikipedia link. Actually, I'm gonna make that look a little better. I'm gonna say Wikipedia here, and then I'm gonna say Wikipedia PlayStation 5, and then what I'll do is I'll use a structural rich text link surrounding this guy right here. Right. So now click that link icon, boom, put a real link in there, done. Looks good. And now we have the parent tag situation. So here, similar to the other one, PlayStation 5 should not show up in the list. And if PlayStation 5 was, if fighting games was not published ever, then that wouldn't show up in the list either. But actually, I'm not gonna use this. This just won't have any parents right now, because PlayStation 5 does not go in the fighting games category. That wouldn't make sense. So what we want to test though is if we go back to stories, right? I'm gonna click on our True Detective story, and we scroll down to the tags that we don't see PlayStation 5 in this list, and we have an invalid reference error. Let's go back to the IDE. It's just probably a syntax error. So, where's tags? Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. Stories here. Okay, so here's tags. Oh, I see what's happening. Boom. And yeah, I think that's gonna work. I was missing a double quote. All right, so we should at least get out of the draft game, which we haven't. Right? This lets us know we're still in the draft game. So. Hang on, let's go back to the IDE. add some commas. I am a real big stickler on those. So something's off here. Let's see. That should definitely work. Oh, I see. Alright, and then now we have a spacing error somewhere. Oh, so here, the return statement can't have a comma. That is the end of a statement. And params is fine to have one. I think filter's going to be fine to have one as well. Of is going to be fine to have one. Options and of are going to both be fine to have one. So yeah, I think we're good now. I think it's going to be the validation key again, right? And there's one more validation key. Yep. Now all of the errors have been silenced. If we go back to the browser, we now should no longer see that draft content in there. So there we go. So double quotes and of course the other thing, right? So all right. Now we know that's working. Let's go ahead and publish the PlayStation item because now we want to make sure our duplicates, well, we don't need to publish that yet. We want to make sure we still can confirm that the drafts aren't showing up when we add the second half of our query, which we know by heart now, right? Maybe not by heart, but we know it. It's going to be and, right? And not underscore this item ID in $tags array forward reference to ._ID, right? That's the part of the array that we care about. Now that should do it, right? So as long as the ID has not been selected, you have my permission to appear. Really what that's saying, okay? So and then that's gonna really grind my gears that we have to keep doing that. So let's go back to the ID and show what we just did. I just noticed that I wasn't over there. Okay, so back here, we kind of freestyle this, right? And I think this is gonna error out because we're using the word and again. So we have to use double ampersand to separate these and say that I don't want any drafts. If anything is a draft, don't show me. And as long as it's not, hang on, let's see how to compound these because it could be the case that those are that needs to be separated by an or clause, right? But I think when you do more than one query, I think you use and, right? So this is saying give me movies where the popularity is more than 15 and the release date is whatever. Multiple filters and, but no, I think we need or. Because we're saying show me everything where the so show me every tag where the moderation state is not draft. Oh no, it's and. We need and. It can't be a draft and it can't be something that we've already selected. Only give me the stuff that doesn't meet that criteria. So no, we were doing it correctly. All right, let's go back to the IDE. Let's make sure we got our ducks in a row here. They look good. We have those validation weird oddities again. We'll go ahead and clean those up. Those up. Okay, done. Go back to the browser, hit up our Sanity UI. Okay. All right, and we should only see the fighting games item here, right? Yep, fighting game shows up, right? We can select that, and now when we hit the list again, fighting game should no longer show up. We just have no results, okay? No results for, I don't know what that means. No results for nothing. And maybe that means that our filter needs to supply, hang on, let's go back to the browser. It may mean that our filter needs to supply a message. I didn't see that in the reference type, but I could see that being a requirement for filters, where you are on the hook for saying what pops up when no results are found. So it's like a default value or a default message. Reference multiple types, no, default reference. Here we go. Define the movie's director as a reference to a person. No, I don't think that's what we want. Hold on, let's look at filter. Additional, if a function is provided, it is called with an object containing document parent and parent path properties, as well as a convenient get client method, and should return an object containing filter and params. As a tool for this function can absolutely be async and return a promise that results from an object containing filter and param. Note, the filter only constrains the list of documents. Constrains the list of documents at the time you search. It does not guarantee that the reference document will always match the filter provided. That makes sense. Additional grok filter to use when searching for target documents. The filter would be added to the already existing type clause. So we see that it does take a string. Not entirely sure what they would want to do with that. We want to... It's really just that we want default text. Whoops. Initial value. The initial value that would be used when creating a new value from this type can be either the literal no thank you, title, hidden, boolean, description, disable new filter, param, validation. So I think it's easy to do. I don't know how to do it, but I have a suspicion that it's easy. So just to be clear, what I'm talking about is no results for a double quote. Okay, I want to make it so that we control this message whenever there are no results to show. So let's look up how to do that. We're gonna say no results for, and then I'll say reference sanity.io, right? Because that's really what we do. No results for document type change from object. Yeah, so let's see what this... I'm trying to get a document to reference other documents of the same type, but I only get no results. We're trying to search for instances. Blah, 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 blah. Maybe we'll say default text. Change. No results for reference. And no results. Sanity.io. Okay. We need like the default message when no results are found. Let's see that. Default message when no results are found. Entity dot. No, I don't care about new documents, guys. Document type works best when something editor shouldn't. Don't use an initial value as a placeholder text. It's probably better to use the field's description property. Let's see if description does it. I can't see that working though. That doesn't really make sense. Alright. So if we go back to our IDE and we go over to the tag reference, okay, and we say description is hello world. It wouldn't really make sense to me if that worked. It's hello world 0 here, of course, but we need to clean that up and it will the other one up. Something here is really driving me crazy, and I'm gonna comment these out until we are ready to go live with this code. So we'll try and remember to uncomment those out before we submit the ticket, but that's like having to go back and do that every single time is really becoming a nuisance for me. Let's flatten these out. Maybe I can leave them uncommented and just put them closer together. Yeah, that's... Oh, there's quite a few. Yeah, one here. Where's the other one? So there's only 2. Yeah. Wait, I could have sworn I just commented out 2 of them, though. Didn't I just comment out 2? Wait a second. Another one. Where's the rest of you? Oh, and now of is breaking too. Jeez. I am not gonna understand this. I'm just gonna keep commenting. No, and then I'm gonna... I can't keep up. Commented out. Alright, let's go back to the browser. see. Oh, that's just a little subtitle. How do you change that? You have to be able to change that. It has to be in a filter. Man, I really want to fix that, but I don't want to get too bogged down into it. Document options, tools, is admin. Here, let's kind of look through this a little bit more. Define the structure of, yeah, that it just doesn't make sense to live here, right? But this is like a default. You can tell that's like a default behavior, right? For a reference field type. So I'm gonna say reference type. No results sanity.io. And instead of just saying no results, let's say no results default message. And no, we don't need the select, define, whatever. I think we are supposed to pass back a string. We'll get the original posting. Hi Peter, it's always the same value. Should have come from a query. Should have set the reference to a default author. Not sure I fully get the. Okay, so yeah, sorry. Let me be more clear about this. My problem is author type reference field of a post empty will cause an error of undefined in the output because there will be no author object. My question is it possible in a schema to define an empty value as an initial value for the type reference? Okay. Maybe it has something to do with us passing that back. Because we can destructure this. I mean, not destructure, but project it. If we go back to the Grok cheat sheet, one of the things you are able to do is you can project objects. So we can actually tell it what we want back on the return of that. And assuming that this is looking for no, but this would assume that I actually have a value back. We need to know how to provide a default value when there's no results, because this is just saying something really ugly on the label right now. And I imagine if we had business partners, they would complain about this message. No results for. Is that just that? Oh, I see. Okay, never mind, guys. I figured out what it was. You guys can kind of see it now too. This assumes that you're searching for something, so it's no results here at all. But if I was to type in combo, right, we get no results for that, right? So not only is there no results, but this is denoting that there's no results in the search bar. Okay, so even if we removed fighting games, right, now fighting games will show up here. Okay, but if I type in PlayStation, since that's not one of the results, it's going to say no results for PlayStation. So that's not a bug at all. That's actually the exact behavior we want. So I'm going to go publish. But first I'm going to get rid of that description, that hello road 0. We don't need that. That was just us tinkering. So we'll get rid of that. We don't need a description either. Eventually, we might want to add some descriptions just to make it more obvious to users on what they're adding here. But we are going to first go to our PlayStation 5 tag and publish it. We do want the story that we're creating to be tagged with both of these, both of those tags, just because it probably doesn't really apply to it, but we're just going to pretend they do, just so we can make sure that that works. So if I have fighting games here and I click add item and the item that I search for is play, PlayStation shows up. If I choose fight, it's already been chosen. That doesn't show up. Okay, we know that the draft functionality was working because PlayStation wasn't showing up just now until I hit save. And now we can go continue with our story field creation, and that's it. We're done with the field creation. Okay, so now we need to move on to the cosmetics. Yay, almost able to submit this ticket, right? So now let's move over to the cosmetics. So far this looks pretty good. There's a couple things I don't like. First off, starting at the very far left, I don't like this icon. This default tag icon looks ugly to me, right? Actually, we're not done. We're not done. Just above authors, I want to add a featured image field or a featured media field. Okay, I want any story to be compatible with featured media. So let's actually scope that out first, right? Let's scope out the featured media, the potential featured media field. So what do I mean by that, right? So we have featured media, and if you remember on last week's session, right, last week Wednesday, we did our content model where we talked about featured media having a couple of different elements that you can choose from. One of the elements was an image, and the other element was a video. Okay, so featured media can consist of either a video or an image. It also stands to reason that it should have a title and a description. And it should be something that you can tag to a person, but we will say that that may be something for later. I'm not going to worry about that right now. These aren't reusable assets yet, so we'll just say that for featured media, for meta purposes like tagging and accessibility and things like that, each featured media piece will have a title and a description, and then you'll be able to choose either a video or an image. So let's get started creating the last field that we're going to need, which is going to be our featured media field. I'm going to do define field. Let's go back to our IDE so we're all following along. Oops. Oh. All right, define field. I'm going to say the name of this field is featured media. Separate that by an underscore. And the type of this field is going to be an object now, right? Because this is one field that consists of multiple fields within it, right? So it's going to be a type of object. And after you denote that it's a type of object, you're now on the hook for defining the fields that belong in it. And that's going to be an array of objects, right? Of objects. And the first field object, sorry, we can actually do this a little differently because these are going to be rows of objects. So let's actually denote our subfields. This is going to be the title. This is going to be the description. This is going to be the media, right? You'll be able to choose from two different sets of media. Okay. I was just told my webcam isn't on. There we go. All right. Okay. So now let's do the easy title field, right? So we'll do the name of this is title. And the type of this is string. Okay, that's it. We're good there. Let's actually put validation on this and say that this is required. Rule.required. We won't give a character limit on this though. Title type. Liking that. Let's do. It's just a weird IDE thing again. Description is definitely optional, right? So we won't even worry about putting that on multiple lines. We'll just say description, and then we'll do it all in line, right? We'll say type of, and the description is actually, so we won't put this all in line because the description, it needs to be rich text, and our rich text needs to be a type of array, and it's a array of blocks, right? So it's going to be a type of block. Okay, and that's our description field. Now our media field is going to be a little interesting, right? Our media field is actually going to be called media, name of media, but let's think about this, right? It needs to be a type of array because I should be able to, wait, should it be? No, featured media sounds like I should only be able to add one piece of media, right? I could choose from two different things, but I shouldn't be able to add more than one, right? So this is going to be a reference type. Hang on, let's go look at the docs for this. I'm not entirely sure what type we should use for this particular scenario. I'm guessing it's reference though. And we're gonna make it a reference to multiple types that we'll then separately define, right? So if we go over to our reference and then look at schemas, let's just see what we have. What's our options here? Like, is list in here? No, it's going to be a reference. It's going to be a reference type for sure. And the reference types that we'll be able to choose from are actual, like, little document types, right? Little, what they call content types here. So let's do this, right? So the type of this is going to be reference. And then it's going to be a reference to, and remember, that's an array. So we can actually say that it's going to be a reference to type 1, which let's just, for S's and G's right now, let's say that this is a reference to a person type. So that should be the person form that we get back, because these are now documents. And it should be a type of tag, right? So we'll just use the two types that we've already defined just as a test to see if we can actually define types and allow you to choose from one of those types. So let's go back over to the browser. Wait, let me show you guys what I just did in the IDE. I just realized I didn't have that open. So what I did was in media, in that media object, I say that this is going to be a field name media, and it's going to be a reference type, and it's going to be a reference to an array of different types. Right? These are document types, whereas in the other reference type that we did, where's the reference type that we did up top? Feature media. Oh no, it's below actually, right? So let's see. This was an array of a type of person. So that's going to be a little tricky because that's not entirely what we want. We don't want to reference person. Is it? Because one of these actually allows you to select from a create a new type. Let's go to all right, yeah, we gotta think about this. Well, let's see what that gave us. Let's see what this gives us. Right, we're gonna have to just figure this out, guys. This isn't gonna be super easy, I don't think. All right, so let's see what we get back when we do this. Can we create new items, or is it just gonna try and reference what's in the system already? Actually, no. Let's not use these. Let's not use these. Let's use content types. Right. So one of them we have is image element. Okay, that's a type that we've defined. And another one that we know lives in the system is string, right? We know that sanity gives you string out of the box, but let's not use string. Let's use, yeah, no, string's fine. String's fine. Let's use string. All right. And then now let's save it. Let's go back to the browser. And now let's see if we get a drop down of those two types to choose from. And let's see what happens. Okay, so we probably can't use string. We're going to have to use stuff that we've defined ourselves. And the only one we've defined so far is image block. And I suppose person is one that we've defined, but that's also the name of that content. All right, let me see something real quick, guys. Hang on one second. I want to try something before we get too deep into this. I just want to see. Let's do this, and oh, it wouldn't be that. Let's go here. Sorry, I'm just looking up something that might point us in the right direction. Okay. Oh. Oh, I see. Okay, so we actually did this by accident before. I don't know if you guys remember what I'm about to show you, but we actually made this mistake last time. But it turns out that we actually need to do it this way intentionally. This isn't going to be a reference type because there's no content we're referencing. This is actually going to be an array of objects. Okay, it's going to be an array of things, but you can only select one. So what we hope to see here is that I can select one of these, and I'm hopeful that I can set some kind of max on this so that I can only choose one of these. Right, so we're going to go clean up this compilation error here. Okay, and then now let's go back to the browser. It's still saying that I can't do something that I'm trying to do. So media is a type of array. Let's get rid of the string. Let's only pass it our custom type, right? Let's see if we just have to define these types ahead of time. That might be the case. All right, so I'm going to save that. I'm going to head over to the studio. I'll do a hard refresh here. And no, this didn't like this either because I have image element. Flipped out wrong, right? That's actually image underscore element. Lowercase e. That's what we named it on the other document. If we go look at the IDE, the problem here that we were having is that I had image element. This is our file name, but in the actual type parameter of our image element, we can see I used image underscore element, so I have to actually use that as our type here, which is fine. Then I'm going to put a comma here. Now I'm going to go back to something I had before. I'm going to say, what if I also want one of the native types too, like a type of string? Okay, so let's see if this works, where I have the string type. We'll see. I don't know if that's going to work because that's a sanity, out of the box sanity type. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go back to the browser, and it looks like the error's gone. Nope, the error's not gone. So let's get rid of the array types of property. Can have both object types and primitive types. Okay, so you can't use primitive types. Okay, so you do have to declare your own custom object type. So let's just at least see if image element is working correctly. We know that the other one that we need is a video element. We'll just create that one right below image when the time comes. So what I just did in the IDE, if you see here, I just got rid of string. That's a primitive type. And I guess they have those are not objects, right? So you can't use those. So I'm gonna head back over to the browser now. I believe that error should be gone. Okay, so we're back in the interface. Yep, so now you can see it's loading just fine. We're back in our story. And if I come here to featured media and we click on add item, there's only one thing we can choose from right now, and it's the image. So this is that beautiful image form, and it shows up as a pop-up. But now I'm gonna go head back to the IDE, and let's create ourselves a video element, right? So it'll basically be the exact same thing. Actually, no, let's go to the browser and see what the video element consisted of. So if we go look at our elements, the video element consists of, it's an object with 3 fields, a video file, which is a URL. We're going to do YouTube embeds probably, so this is just going to be like video URL. The transcript and the description. The transcript is like the caption for the video. It's a really common thing. And then a video description, another really common thing. They'll both be HTML block fields, and then video URL will be a URL field. But let's actually do that from scratch. Let's go back to the IDE. We're not gonna, I was just gonna copy paste this, but let's just do a custom type here. So let's do export const video element is equal to define a type now instead of a field. It's gonna kind of be the same syntax, but a little different. It's going to look more like when you're defining these document types, like here, if we go to tag, at the very top, we have these things, and that's kind of what we're looking for here. We'll give it an icon as well toward the end, but let's just finish at least the main potatoes. So the name of this, let's give it a title. The title is going to be video. Okay, and then comma, we'll give it a name, and it'll be a video element. Okay, and this time remember what we talked about when it comes to title and name, right? If you want to name your machine name, which is the name here. If you want to name that something different than what you want to display to your end users, which in this case we don't want to display video element to our end users, we just want to display video from that dropdown. And the dropdown I'm referring to, if we go back over to the browser, so from this dropdown, when someone clicks this, we want them to see the options image and video, not image element and video element. So we have to actually manually set our title, which we're doing. And then after that, we need to set a name. And after that, we need to set a type. So this is going to be a type of object, right? Because we have, this is one element that has a bunch of fields. And then right after the object type declaration, you declare a fields array, which is going to be an array of smaller objects. And going back to our browser, we click here, we see the 3 fields that we need. We'll just grab those, pull them over to the IDE so we don't have to keep going back and forth. So here are the fields that we are creating, and I'm going to comment those out because we're just going to start creating them. So for a video URL field, this is going to be a name of URL. We don't need to call it video URL. That's implied because we're in the video URL. We're in the video type. So this is going to be a type of URL because I think that is a primitive type that we get out of the box. So one thing that I want to do though is I want to make it so that the URL, like we have some kind of validation on that field. So I'm going to go back to the sanity docs and see what our options are with this primitive URL type. So we're going to go validation. So we're going to make it required. That's a good idea. And then we are going to, yes, we are going to do this. So let's see what they're doing with this rule.uri scheme, and then this is just saying what the scheme needs to be. String regex or array of schemes to allow. I think array of schemes is enough. I don't know if these are going to be YouTube videos, so we'll never really have and I mean, I suppose one thing I could do is make it so that whenever you type in, instead of doing validation on scheme, I could just say custom validation, where we automatically supply. No, I won't worry about that. Let's not get too fancy with this. Let's not get too fancy. For the validation, we'll make it required, and then we'll pass some URI options, and we'll be done with it from there, right? So we can actually steal this. We'll just do this, and then we'll come back over to our IDE. And let's blow this out a bit, right? Now that we have so much that we're trying to do in here, let's blow that out. And let's say, let's say validation. Whoops, let's put our validation rule there. So copy that. There we go, validation. And then we'll also do dot required. Okay, we'll just chain that. We should be able to chain those just. And yeah, that should be okay. I actually want to move. I think I'm gonna move the required rule to here. Okay, that just looks a little cleaner. And then I'll put the comma there. I'll clean that up a bit. Okay, so now let's just test this video URL field. And actually we can't test it, but now's a good time to test the entire thing, right? So we can export this video element along with image, right? So we go back to our index, and now along with image, we can actually say we also want to export video. So I'll put that at the bottom of the list, just alphabetically, that's where it goes. And this doesn't have, when we add a few more elements here, I'm actually going to create this as an inline, a vertically stacked array of items, just so it's easier to consume, see everything that's coming out of that array. So now that we have video element, we need to actually go use that inside of our story references. So we were already referencing image element. Now we should be able to reference video element, because now we are exporting the video element. So let's go back to sanity. And now that drop down should also show 2 options instead of going straight to the form from before, right? So there we go. Image and video now show up. So I'll go ahead and remove that. image and video show up. If I select video, we should just get that one field. If I select image, we get this whole form, right? And we will want to do our preview setup here in a bit. We'll do that at the end. So we have that working. Let's go back over to our shared elements. Let's get our comment block in here just so we don't forget. I'll say, what did I say here? Oh, I just say the name of the element. Okay, so I'll say video element. And I'm not gonna say element, it already implies it in the name. Yeah, so we have the URL now. Let's do the transcript. This is gonna be another object. Blow that out. It's gonna be name of transcript. It's gonna be a type of array. It's gonna be an array of type block. Okay, and then we'll do the exact same thing for description, right? So that can be easy to do. We'll just copy this actually, comma here first. All right, we'll put the comma here. We'll get the tunes going back in a second. I can tell that they just dropped. Description be, actually let's copy that first, then make that capital, paste that in here. And now our description field is in place. So we should have, and video URL was required, which is good. We want that to be required. We also want the title of the no, it's not going to be there, but yeah, this is featured media, right? So it's actually an array of object, but we'll get to that in a second. Oh, I already did it. Never mind. I was going to say, I could have sworn I already took care of that. Anyway, yeah, okay, so yeah, it's getting late. What time is it? All right, 9:20. We still got 40 minutes, guys. We're going to finish this. All right, so let's first get our tunes going. Sometimes when you are listening to tunes, every now and then they say, hey, are you still listening to tunes? Are you sure you're still listening to tunes? But that's not the tunes I want to listen to. I got to make sure it's chill. The chill. Oh, this is the one. Love this one. Good. All right. So let's go ahead over to our field. Click add item. We can add image, and our form pops up. Let's add a dummy image just for testing purposes. Let's say we'll add Nicki Minaj with the blicky. Any Call of Duty fans out there? Let's say Nicki with the blicky. Nicki with the blicky. That'll be our alt text. And then for the caption, we'll say, if you haven't already downloaded the Nicki Minaj skin for Call of Duty, then you must be crazy. All right. Oh, nice. That was showed us that there was an error there. All right. Her name is obviously in the dictionary, so. All right, and then for the URL on the video, let's make sure that we can't do anything crazy here. So let's just do that.com. Does that work? Nope. All right, but if we do, yep. All right, cool. So we're good there. Let's just go grab a video URL. We will grab one of our own, actually. Maybe some maybe get some Mortal Kombat. One of my YouTube shorts, maybe. Diablo 4 hype. I don't know if I want to put that in there. Creating pressure. Oh, I love this video. All right, one of my oldies but goodies. I'll just slap that in there. And then this is transcript for creating pressure tutorial video. And we'll add that soon. And then description. We'll do description for the same. We won't add these right now. I don't really feel like adding that much text right now. We'll actually be stealing these anyway from the social media sites they belong to. So take care of that when the time comes. I'm going to turn the music down just ever so slightly here. It's kind of loud for me. There we go. Okay. All right. So description of, yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. Now we have that, and now we have a video in place. It looks like our images were already set up. The image previews were already set up. Let me see. Did we already set those up? So if we go back to the IDE, whoa, I was on the browser the whole time. Let me show you guys what I was doing on the browser. Yo, Chris Jobs. What's good, 48? He told my Chris Jobs. Yeah, I was just adding. I added an image here, and I added an image here, and I added the what's this? The I kind of want to do this differently, but yeah, the image here, and I added the video here. However, as I'm looking at this, right, in some places, I think it does make sense to show this as the media preview, but not here. And let me show you what I mean by that. If we go to people, right? So the image field type for people, this isn't referenced anywhere, right? It's used here in a very distinct preview mode, but it's not referenced. If we go back to the reference field here, let's go open the IDE. If we go back to the story elements image reference, this needs a preview. Because whenever I use this, I have a field now that can take two types of references. One of them is I can have a gallery or an image, right? Some kind of image media, or I can have a video. So what we should do instead of adding the actual image, we should make our preview pull in an icon of some sort. So let's actually take care of that now that we know these fields are working as we would expect them to. Let's actually take care of that now. So under here, I'm actually going to go steal that preview array from another content type. Again, these are the one things that I don't like to retype. I retype most things, but when it's this much text, I tend to steer away from retyping it. Okay, so for the title here, doesn't look like we have a title, which I kind of feel like we should have a title. Like at least a name field, right? Like a image title or something like that. I'm going to add a title field here. And that means that all of our image references that we've used today, they won't have a title. It just doesn't feel right for me for an image to not have a actual title. But I suppose you can use the alt text and the caption as the caption can be your subtitle. But it just feels like a photo should come with an actual, like a name. So yeah, and that's what I'm gonna make. I'm gonna make a name field. I'm gonna call this name, and it's going to be a type of string, and we're gonna turn validation on there. We're gonna say that this is one of the few things. This and photo is gonna also be validated to be required. But yeah, you can't use this element without adding. So I'm gonna say validation is gonna be rule references the rule.required method. And for the character count, we'll do a max of 80. No, we said 100 for titles. And then I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do something similar for photo, but this will just be a validation of required. So I'll do a rule that returns a rule.required object. Okay. And then the rest of this is obviously dealer's choice, right? It's not required. And then I want to come back to the preview here so we can actually start using this now. So I'm going to say that this is going to be my name. This is going to be my caption. I don't even want to see the alt text because that's like meta. That doesn't really make sense in this context. And then I'm not going to show the image here. Or maybe I will show the image, but I'll show the icon for the video because there's no image that we'll have unless we add a poster. Yes, let's add a thumbnail to our, absolutely. Let's add okay, here's what we're gonna do. For the video, we're gonna add a video title. So we're gonna do just like we did for the other one. We're gonna call it a title. Videos have titles, not names. We're gonna call this the And this is separate from the media title, right? This is the video title. So if you have a couple pieces of media, if you have a video and an image, right, you may have a title for your featured media called "Look at what we're doing today," and then the video title might be "I'm going fishing" or something like that, right? So we're gonna say this is the type of string. Wow, that just changed quite a bit, pretty quickly. And then we're gonna put the validation on it. We're gonna say rule is that this is also required, and this is a max of. And we already know that the video URL is required. So we're gonna say that before you even type in your video URL, so you type in your title, your URL, and then you add a thumbnail. So we're gonna say name of thumbnail. And then this is just gonna be a type of image element, right? We don't need to recreate the wheel here. It's gonna be a type of image element. Now, this is going to get a little tricky though, now that I think about it, because if we're saying that image elements are going to have their own preview. Oh, never mind. I'm overthinking it. This is not the preview for image element. The preview that I create for video is going to be the preview for video. We won't need to worry about that there. I'm going to give this a title, just a label. I just like to label these. We're going to call this a thumbnail. Okay. And then we have our transcript. Okay, and our description, right? So we have everything we need that makes up, and I think I'm gonna stick these on one line. This doesn't need to, it's only 3 things here, so I'm gonna just put these all on one line. It's not long enough to warrant 2 lines. It's just kind of getting cluttered, right? So let's just stick these all on one line. Okay. And anything with validation, we'll keep that blown out to vertically stacked, but these other ones I don't think they need. They don't warrant a whole dedicated line, and they won't have one. Okay, so now we have our, let's pull this down a bit. So now we have our video element, which consists of a title, a URL, okay, a URL, a thumbnail, a transcript, and a description. We also have our image element that consists of a name, and I'm just going to call this title to remain consistent. It was kind of bugging me that that's not called title. It has a title. It has a, I'm going to call this thumbnail as well as a thumbnail. Okay, I'm just going to call that thumbnail. It has alt text. Okay. And then I'm gonna flatten this and call it caption, right? Just to be a little more clean. So I'll call this caption, and then I'll flatten it. Okay. Cool beans, cool beans. And now let's work on this. This is gonna be thumbnail now. No, it's not even gonna be thumbnail. We're not even gonna pass that. We're gonna use an icon for, oh no, never mind. This is gonna be thumbnail. We'll use an icon for video, but I think for image, we should just use the actual image. It would be dope if we can use the image and the icon, because something should, oh, I'll tell what the type is in the title. Okay, not in the real title, but like, you'll see, in the preview title, I'll do it. Okay, so we're gonna use title here. This is title. Title, caption, and thumbnail. Title, caption, and thumbnail. And then for this is going to be thumbnail.photo. No, this is going to be, this is actually going to be, wait, what did I have before? This is probably going to have to be image element. Yeah, it's gonna have to be, maybe it could just be thumbnail. Yeah, let's see if I can just make it thumbnail. I'll see if that works. And then what we'll do is we'll just console.log the thumbnail. Oh no, I have image here. So I'm actually gonna call that thumbnail though. And for caption, no, I'm gonna change that back. This is gonna be media actually. I'm gonna start doing that. I'll just use whatever they require, and I'll pass in the things that I'm using. Yeah, I need to stop using my own. I'll use media, and then whatever thumbnail points to, we'll find out here in a second. Whatever thumbnail points to, but this should be good for now. Let's go back to the browser, and let's just see how that like looks when it is in the. Yeah, so we just did a lot of changes here that we need to clean up, but we'll go to our story. Let's just focus on that for now. So here we'll get rid of the. Which one is this? This is the. Okay, so let's go back here. See what our object was. It's undefined. Let's just. This was Nikki with Blicky. All right. Let's get out of here real quick, and then let's give her a new image because we changed this to thumbnail now instead of media, so we have to place that. And then now we need to remove the fields that no longer exist, so that she should be good now. We have to clean up her caption. It's like there is still something off with that, but now we see that we're getting her image there. Not entirely sure how we're getting that. I'm just passing media back, so I guess we don't even need to define it. I guess it just knows to pull that in. So going back to the IDE, you can see I'm just passing in the whole thumbnail, and that's all they care about. That's all they want. So that's perfect for us. All right, going back to the browser, let's clean up that video. So let's edit this video, and we need a title. So this was going to be our creating pressure with combo junkie, right? And then the title of the thumbnail, this is our little image element, that type that we had, right? So this all looks like it's a part of the thumbnail field. That's good. So we have a field called thumbnail inside of the video. It's going to be thumbnail.thumbnail. That sounds weird. So let's call this a different name. Let's not call this thumbnail. Let's call this poster frame. No, let's call this. I mean, that's usually what it's called, a thumbnail. I'll just call it image. No, I won't call it image. Let's think about this, right? We're on a video, and this is the really is the thumbnail, but now I don't want to call this thumbnail anymore. I kind of want to just call that image, and I will actually. So I'm just gonna call this image now, or no, I'll go back to photo because this is the actual image, right? So I'll just go back to photo for this. Yeah, we'll go back to photo for this. Type of image, but it's the actual photo. So now thumbnail kind of makes sense. The other one. So I'll leave that as thumbnail, and then the thing that you supply will be a image. So now this is going to make us redo the. Oh, we just didn't add a title for featured media. So this is going to be featured media for this content, and then a description, some description here. We'll look at this later. We will circle back to placing this with real descriptions later. All right. And then here now we can go back to the Nikki with the Blicky, and we have to change out that image because now that field doesn't exist, the one that I used before. It's gonna be photo now instead of thumbnail. We can remove that. Go ahead and get out of here. Now when we come back here, we can complete this thumbnail now, right? So this is gonna be I'm actually gonna use the same title as I used outside. And for the photo, I am going to I actually have this. This was in my web series, so I should be able to find this. I'm just gonna go promo. Yeah, let's just go promo for this, and then yeah, we'll just use this. It doesn't matter. random MK1 picture. And then for the alt text, I'll say learning how to create picture. And then here I'll say, have you ever wanted to know how to create awesome pressure strings and situations in MK1? And let me go back to the browser over here because I'm just realized I am back on the IDE. I'm just creating the thumbnail for the video. Well, I'm creating the video reference, but yeah, this will be the thumbnail section that I'm typing out. Well, the wait is over. Okay, so have you ever wanted to know how to create awesome pressure strings and situations in MK1? Well, the wait is over. All right, cool. So now we have a fully fleshed out video. Wait, not yet. Oh, we do. Yeah, we do. Okay, cool. So we have our video URL. We have everything we need for the video. And the only thing that's missing here is like a preview. So the idea, I think, is going to be this, right? We're going to use the image that was uploaded here. We're going to use that. But we're going to... So first off, we're not going to make this required. So let me just check this real quick, the validation. The validation that we have on photo is for the image element, which there it's required. But for the video element, you shouldn't be forced to supply a thumbnail, which we aren't forcing that on them. But for the preview for this, I think we want to do... All right, first let's fix caption, right? Something's off with caption. Shoot, what was it? It's like prototype block or something like that. I always forget how to do that. Shoot. I just want the raw string version of it. This caption is HTML, which is the portable text. Let me see. Strip HTML from portable text. Sanity. Because what we really want is the yeah, here we go. Like, we want to use that. We want to use that little... Maybe it's not text. Rendering plain text serialization. So loop through each... Wait, two plain text. Serialized portable text to plain text can be useful when you need it. Previews, when you need it in previews or similar. It also helps demystify what's going on into serializing portable text. Here's a function written in JavaScript that takes a portable text array as an argument and returns it as paragraphs in plain text. Okay, all right, yeah, sure, that's fine. I don't care. That's fine, that's fine. All right, we'll just use this. We'll add this as one of our utilities. I'll go ahead and copy that, head back over to the IDE. And then now we should have this utilities library that we have all of our other stuff in. And we'll just export, well, I don't even know, do they export? Yeah, we do. So we'll use, have a toPlain text function that we export. And it will accept an array and give us back plain text to use, right? So we're gonna say array or any, so we can silence this error. Array or any. Damn it. They're giving it a default value, but I'm not sure how to. Can I just do working? They're giving it a default value here, which I don't love. But I guess they're just saying, like, if... So maybe what I can do... So I need to do... Yeah, this is so annoying when this happens, because what's happening here is I need to do, like, block... as any here. Oh, that's not even working. Yeah, I'm so annoying. Type does not exist. On type never. What? This is gonna be the as thing, I'm pretty sure. If we head over to the browser, you can kind of see what I'm searching for. These TS errors. And this is the code they gave me. Yeah, it doesn't exist on type Y. So what you do is you usually say, yeah, something as any, then dot what property you were trying to work with. So for us, I could just do block here, where I could say block as any, and that silences the error for my IDE. Although that is not a great looking piece of code now. All because my IDE like complaining about it. I wonder if there's just a way to ignore those on VS Code, but I'm gonna do this for now. I just don't want to. Implicitly has an any type. What do I do? Child is any. No, that doesn't even make sense. I'm doing this because of you, VS Code. This is all because of you. Oh, I see. So I have to declare that here, right? So, and then yeah. I think that works. Okay, so this has to be any. Yeah, there we go. And then now that ports over just fine. Okay, cool. So now that that's in place, let me show you guys what I did. So first I did this really janky workaround where you declare, since it's an object reference, you declare it as any, unless you want to actually go in and create an object that has these two properties, which I don't want to do. So I just say, hey, block can be anything. I don't care. I trust that when this comes through, it'll be the right stuff. I probably wouldn't do this in production, right? I would get way more serious about declaring these types, because what you're supposed to be doing in this layer of code is kind of giving yourself reliability on the objects that you're sending or that you're passing around from this other library of a piece of code that you don't own. Like, we don't own this code base, the sanity code base, the blocks, for example, that these portable text chunks, the text arrays return back. Like, we don't own them, but we can learn about them and then create an object that contractually obligates the items within this array to adhere to an array of block types, for example. Like, I can tell it that there is a very specific contract that will have these keys and types, right? So that's up to me. I can do that. I'm not going to do that in this kind of dummy environment that we're making right now, but that is the way you would handle that. You would go in and make a little block contract or interface that you now are basically saying, like, hey, I know for this method, I need these three things out of that interface. So I am going to say, instead of just doing a native array type here, I'm going to say blocks is basically one of these types, right? Some type that I just create, and I'll probably call it sanity block type or something like that. And now it will be an array of sanity block type, right? And now going through here, right, it would be like, oh, blocks is an array of these sanity block types. So sanity block type, this block variable right here, which would be a single sanity block type, would have a key of underscore type. Okay, it would have a key of children, which would be an array type, native array type. That way, some of these things wouldn't be needed. But since we're not going to be doing that, go ahead and turn that back to just equals array. That gets rid of all those errors. And now I am going to add some comments here. So we'll say blocks, the portable text array blocks, and then it's going to say returns plain text string. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put that there, and then now we need a purpose, right? So convert portable rich text to plain text. Okay. All right, and then now we'll add one more space here, and then let's go ahead and alpha sort this. So we'll collapse it. We'll put it where it belongs. TU, so it goes right here. Oops. Oops. Cut that out again. Try that one more time. All right, there we go. All right, to plain text. All right, FITUE. Okay. Alpha sorted. Looks good. Now we need to use this in the class that we were interested in using it in, which is story. We'll come here. We are already using this from utils, and we'll do to plain text. Okay, so now we're using that, and now going back to our subtype. No, not in story. Sorry, it wasn't in story that we were using. It was going to be in the shared elements. So now we need to actually pull that in the utils. We'll go shared elements, and now this was going to be to plain text. And going back to our subtitle now, that caption, we need to actually convert that to plain text. So what we'll do is here we'll say let plain caption equals subtitle. Actually, it's going to be to plain text subtitle. Okay, and now we can actually use plain caption in place of our subtitle. Okay, so now that should allow us to get around that when we had the word object on the in the UI. Yep, so now we can see here that we're actually getting our caption, but we want to limit how many characters show up here. We want to truncate this is what it's called. This is way too long. So what I'm going to do is see truncate preview sanity. I don't know if it's going to be this easy. I'll just say truncate text. Truncate portable text sanity. Because I know I want to truncate this a little bit, but not at the, hang on, let's go back here. I don't want to do it at the, now that I think about it, I don't want to do it at the preview level. I want to do it here, right? I want to just do it here. I want to say that when you are dealing with the subtitle, that the plain caption can only be a certain length. But I don't want to prevent the subtitle from being a length of, where's the caption? I don't want to prevent how long it was when it was typed in here, right? I just want to prevent how long it is here. So what we're going to do is, instead of doing that, I'm going to say truncate. Okay, we're going to go back to the browser. We're going to search for truncating a string in ES6. So truncate string ES6, because now we just need JavaScript string truncation. And it's probably super easy, right? Use the substring method, right? So it's going to be ABC. And then now we're saying if the length of our string is greater than XYZ, then we're going to use substring to like return a truncated version of that. So, so in your case, set the number of characters you keep, pathname.referrer, what do you call that? Yeah, that's really easy, right? Easy. Or ES6, I was looking for that. Even easier. So now I'm going to test this out first in this method here, right? And then I'll move this to a helper in a second. But we're going to say that the implicitly has an any type. Okay. All right, string. Okay. Input.length is what we were going to say is 35. That was the character length that we saw when we were working with subtitles earlier. We counted that because we figured out that 35 characters works really well inside of wait a second. So truncate is the string or the method? No, this is returning. This is returning. Okay, so it's returning input. So no, this is actually a method, right? We have to actually pass truncate something. So what we'll do is we'll say if plain caption exists, I'm actually gonna truncate plain caption, right? So that's probably a weird place to put it. I think where it makes sense to put it is to put truncate here and then wrap this around truncate. Okay? There we go. So now plain caption alone, right, without having to, that should get us what we were looking for. So wait, let me go back to the IDE because that's really important what I just was describing or explaining. So here what we did was they gave us this React method, right? It's a constant method that we can use that takes a single input parameter. So I had to pass it a type because without this it said, you know, it gave us the, hey, you told us that you'd have any type here, but no, we need string. Okay. So we promised that we'll give it a string, and in return, it'll give us back a truncated version with the 3 ellipses at the end. So we already knew when we did the subtitle on the person content type, we already knew that a sweet spot was 35 characters. For the, like if we go back to the browser, for the part of the form that appears as the preview card here, so like if we go to people, this little part right here where it says adorable puppet web developer, that's the subtitle. And we found out that that was best suited for like 35 characters. It might be less now that we have everything increased in Zoom so much, but we'll see how this looks and feels. But it's going to take that input. It's going to say, hey, if you give me anything that's more than 35 characters, I'm going to actually stop at 35 and ellipse it. Okay. So we're actually going to drop that some more. We're going to say 28. Because they are adding 3 characters. So I'm giving a little buffer room, right? So it's really something more like 31. Okay, and then if you don't breach 28 characters, I'm just gonna return whatever was here, which in our case, it's just gonna be our plain subtitle. So now if we save this, right? So what we'll do is we're gonna move this to a helper as well. I don't think this needs to be here either. I'm gonna just include that here, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and include both of these in our utilities. I'm gonna do this, go back to our utilities, and where I have this to plain text, I'm gonna say export function truncate, okay? And then I'm gonna do everything that I'm doing now, if I can. Maybe I don't need the... Wait, how do I do that? I could have sworn I could do all of this on one line. Like, I could have sworn I could do this, and truncate, which lacks return type annotation, implicitly has an any return type. So maybe I have to supply the return type here, like, returns a string. And what's this complaining about? Also, you do have to do the... So yeah, this is gonna be return. Oh, that is really odd. I thought that would be way better than this. I guess I don't need that anymore. Okay, there we go. All right, so, yep, string, return a string. Yep, always return a string. That's cool. And now if we go back into shared elements and just pass in truncate here. So R comes after. Oh, so truncate goes second. And then now here, I can use truncate without having to worry about any errors popping up. And now if we go all the way back over to the browser, go all the way back to the browser, and go to our stories and click on our true detective, we should see that now the truncation is in place, right? But that does seem like that's a little heavy-handed. It stopped really early, so let's increase that about double. We can make that double the length. So we had chosen 28. Let's just do 60. and that'll put us at 63. So we're gonna go over to the utils index, and here we're gonna say 60. All right, we're gonna say 60 characters is what we allow here. Let's go back to the browser and see how much of a change we got there. Yeah, it's not bad. I'm gonna drop it a little bit. Let's say we'll do 52, so it'll actually be a little shorter, but not by much. I just dropped it to 52. Yeah, that's not bad. I don't think that's bad. That's okay. And then now creating pressure with combo junkie. This should have some kind of presence of a. Yeah, let's do the same thing for that video preview as well. So we'll go back to shared elements. Now we have almost everything we need here. We have the title, the video URL, the thumbnail, blah, blah, blah. Now we just need the preview here. So before we do that, I do want to add one more piece to the title, which is I want to say that this is an image, right? So I want to put the image type in here. So I'm going to actually manually just say image, right? Because this is our preview. So I'll say image there, boom. And now we know that this is an image type because the video and the image they're going to look exactly the same. Now we have the word image in here. And then we say Nikki with the blicky. And then there's going to be another image here, but this is going to say video and with the caption. So we can actually steal this whole thing. Yep. All right, and then now just under fields, we'll pop in our preview. And for us, we have a title. We have a description. I think makes more sense here to me. Yeah, description. And we could use the photo title, but I mean the photo caption, but I don't think that really makes sense in this context. It'll make more sense to use the description of the actual video that you're editing. So let's do that. Let's say description is going to be that, and then thumbnail dot we'll just say thumbnail for now, but it's going to be media dot photo. It's what we're really going to need for this. So we'll say I wonder if I can do thumbnail.photo here and take care of everything automatically. Let's see. Subtitle was the description. That's going to get adjusted. So here, let me go to the IDE and show you guys what I did though. So if we come back here, right, we have the video section where we had thumbnail as the top level object field name, but I want to extract the photo object out of that image element, right? So in here we have that photo, which is exactly what we needed to show what we wanted in this preview. So I want that here at this level though. I'm wondering if I can extract it at this level where I can do like dot notation to say, give me the thumbnail dot photo, because thumbnail is an object of multiple fields. Give me the photo portion of it. So we're going to go back to the browser and see if that worked. And it did. Okay. So that's fine. That looks good, right? That looks good. Now, if we want to add image or video, one thing that I do want to add to this are icons. Hopefully we can easily add icons to the left of these. So let's try that. Let's see if we go back to the story in the IDE. And remember we had those options here, right? So these are types. So usually when you are dealing with icons, you can actually just add an icon key and pass it one of the icons. We'll pass it circle user right now. And for some of these, this works out of the box, right? So I don't know if it's going to work out of the box this time, but let's see if it does. I've seen that work out of the box before. Yep, it works. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to go to Lucide React, which is where we get all of our icons from. And we just want to search for icons that make sense in the context of an image or a video. So we're going to just search for image. We'll get something really common like this, right? That's the image icon that everyone's familiar with. And we'll include these. Image is one, and then we'll also do video, and we'll include these in our story so that so that we have access to them as the icons for those options, right? So we are going to now get rid of circle user. We weren't using that, but we are going to add image and video, okay? We need both defined. Yeah, we need both of those. So now I'm gonna get rid of tag as well, and we are gonna find something that more closely resembles a story. Let's see if we do story. No, let's say article. Yeah, that looks much better. So that's gonna be our story icon. So we'll go ahead and pop that in as well. Now that's newspaper, which kind of feels odd. We'll see what it looks like in real time. So I comes before N, and then V comes after N. Okay, so that's in order. Now let's go use these that we just got. Icon is going to be newspaper. Okay, and then we'll start collapsing these fields. Don't need all of these at all times. We are actually just looking at the featured media field, and then these types. Is that where? I thought it was featured media. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. Okay, and then for image, we said image, and then for video, and we can actually collapse these. There's no reason to put these on separate lines. It's not taking up that much real estate. Right, and then now I'll just copy this guy all the way to the comma, paste him here, and then change this to video, and voila. Now we should have two cool looking icons on that drop down in the UI. Let me go back to the IDE, show you what I just did. So here I just moved this into just a single line, added an icon of image. Here I added an icon of video. And then for the main story content type, I added an icon of newspaper. And I'm able to do that because I imported these from Lucid React. So I just grabbed them and imported them. And then now, if we head back over to the browser, go back to Sanity. In the studio, I should have my stories icon here. That looks a lot better. This still can use some TLC. We'll clean it up in a second. But that's the story icon. It looks way better. And now if I click the media drop down, right, I have the correct icons for these. This is what this should look like. So the next thing I want to do, let's go back to the ticket and see how far we are from being done. I think we have all of our fields, the top level fields. We don't need to do media. Yeah, so we're doing cosmetics, so we are almost done. I'm gonna go back to the ticket and just kind of make sure. Yeah, this is just saying finish the story content type per the specs outlined here. Yep. So then the next thing I want to do, probably the last thing we'll do tonight, is we will clean up this preview card. Right, this should be an image, whatever the featured image was. So we'll just take like the first featured media item, the image for the first featured media item, and then we'll do the title, and then the subtitle, which we have both of those, and then we'll be done. So let's go back over to the IDE. Boy, is this gonna be a CMS? Yeah. Well, it's the starting point for we're making an IGN website. So for those who don't know, CJIRL, I think that's fine handle. CJIRL is asking, he said, hey Combo, is this going to be a CMS, content management system? Oh wait, you guys can see it. I have it on the screen. Yeah, so it's actually on the screen. So yeah, this is going to be a CMS. What you don't know, I don't know if you joined late, but we did go over kind of the content model. We talked about how we wanted to mimic a site like IGN, but kind of a more watered down version of it. We're going to be using a bunch of NextJS React-based components to drive the front end, Vercel to manage the code deployments, and DevOps CI/CD pipeline, and then we're going to be leveraging Sanity.io to maintain the content management system itself. So that's kind of the idea with this. All right, let's head back over to the IDE. I think the icons that we've chosen look just fine. So let's move on to the last thing we'll be going over tonight, which is the preview for that card. So we will use title, subtitle, and image. I think that's fine. Title, subtitle, and featured media. So we're gonna do featured media. I think .0, right? Because we want to use the first featured media image. .0 photo, I think. And then what we should be able to do is just call this media and pass it right in. Right? So let's see if it's that boss. If it's that base, All right, so close, right? So we have our subtitle. That title's pretty lengthy too, but that's fine. I don't care. The subtitle's kind of lengthy as well. I'm not gonna worry about that as much. I do see that we have a. Let's get rid of the newspaper icon for a second, and let's see if that is okay. So yeah, that actually impacts this too over here. Yeah, so that shouldn't cause any issues. I think I'm just dealing with my featured media poorly, and that's why, right? It's because media is the array that we want to tap into. So we're gonna do media dot let's just do media.0 because we're guessing right now, right? Let's do media.0 and see what this actually gives us. So the moment this is in place, we should be able to see this in the browser. If we go here, let's go to our dev tools. We should be able to see what this 0th index of the array is. And it's undefined, right? So whatever we're passing here is not right. So it might just be media dot something else. Let's just see what is media, because well, actually no, I need featured media. I need featured media dot media. So it's actually going to be featured media dot media dot 0, I bet, and then dot photo. All right, I think I just nailed it. We'll see. Pretty sure I just nailed it. Boom. There we go. All right. Figured it was something like that. All right, we can get rid of this console log. And that's what we're going to start aiming for when we're doing these previews. Let's try and make sure that if it's just this direct, since we're sharing that image element most of the time, let's just call everything we need here so we don't have to keep doing these variable instantiations with like let media. We can just pass in media all the way through from here, destructure it here, and then pass it directly by declaring exactly the path to it here. And I'm pretty sure we can update the other previews that we have to do the same thing, right? So if we did image.photo instead here, we actually need to clean these up, I bet. But this is going to be media now. That's going to be media, okay? And that's going to be media. And now I don't have to declare this, right? So if we now go back, save this story. Oh no. Yeah, okay, that should be good. All right, now if we go back to the browser. And we just do, first let's confirm that this looks good. Yep. Confirm all of the previews in here still look good. Yes, they do. Let's go to our tags. Yep, those still look good. Let's go do person now. So if we go over to person, go to the IDE. If we go to person, in our preview, image here, we know that it was image.photo, and photo is now a required field if you're going to use image. Right, so if you use image as one of our field types, then that is a required field. And as a matter of fact, person requires an image anyway, so we won't have to ever worry about this. Yeah, see, we were kind of wet behind the ears when we were first starting this. So we'll do media there. Oh, I love when you start to get a little decent at a new language. It feels so good. It's one of the joys of developing, when you actually start to get some skills, no matter how light they are. All right, let's go back over to our browser window. Let's see people, make sure that we didn't blow those up. We also reference people in stories. Let's make sure those still look good. I'm gonna close this out for now. And yeah, they're still good, okay. And I think we are good to go. So let's go back to the IDE and commit our code. We'll first review all the changes we made. So we added stories to the left rail, that's okay. We added the story and video elements to the schema, to the available schema items. We also got rid of this all shared elements. That's okay. For the person content type, that was a rogue comment we got rid of. We also optimized how we're handling imagery. That's also fine. Yep, I think that looks good. Shared elements. We added a couple new helpers in our util to plain text and truncate methods. We are leveraging those to clean up the subtitles. That should be fine as well. And normally what I like to do is type this out as notes in my PR. So I'm going to actually start doing that. Sorry about that for wasting that time. So the first thing I was going to say is added the added stories link the left rail. And I'll just go back to the IDE so you guys can see how I'm doing this. I'm prepping my PR right now by going through the changes and adding notes. So I'll add these to my PR. So going forward, if I ever need to go back and see where I did a certain thing, I can actually like go through all of my submitted PRs and see what changed. I'll say added the story and video elements to the schema types array. Added story and video element to the schema types array. Okay. I'll say small optimizations, clean up, and for person and tag content types, and these are proper now. Person and tag content types. And we have the shared elements. So we've added the video element to the shared elements, the available shared elements, added video element to available shared elements. And then we also optimized the image element. All right, we made some pretty significant changes there. We completed the story content type. Completed the story content type. I'll put some full stops here. I know that the place that I work now usually complains about stuff like that. All right, we have this is I already added a note for the changes that we did here, so I won't reiterate these. And this is we added did I talk about that? Added new stories, yeah, so this is added helpers for truncation and I'll just say helpers, added portable text helpers to YouTube. I'll just say to YouTube. There we go. All right, so it should be good here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my terminal a little bit more. We will stop our build and we'll make sure that we can do a clean build, right? So we'll do npm run dev just to confirm that npm update CLI. Oh, nice, love it. Yes, I want to do that. I'm going to do that too. That'll be a part of our node packages going forward. So we'll do update sanity CLI, which we have 106 packages here. That's great. We'll now do a npm run dev, and we shouldn't get that update check again either. Sanity Studio is up and running. If we open this in our browser, we just want to do a spot check for the CMS to make sure that we didn't introduce any bugs. We'll just go starting with people. We'll make sure that we can click through everything. We don't see any field errors. We have some missing data here. We'll just do the title of this image is I'll call this Lady and Cora. And yeah, we'll go ahead and publish that. No errors there. That's great. We probably need to do the same thing for a combo junkie. So a junkie, all right, a junkie and a hat. Do that. All right, we'll go ahead and publish that. No errors there. So we didn't break people. On the stories, that's the one that we just tested. Let's make sure we don't have any missing content there. That looks good. Let's go to tags. I think this is officially, nope, there's going to be an image here. Yep, so let's call this the PlayStation 5. It's the title for that image. I think that's fine. Nothing else seems to be broken. There is no parent tag for this category unless we make like a video games gaming systems tag, which we haven't yet. We'll start looking at that when we start looking at real content. This is going to be our fighting games tag image. So images having a title makes sense to me, so I'm just going to keep those. I'm not going to add a description. Publish that, and we're good. We didn't blow up anything. Everything looks good. We now have all three of the content types required to start building out the actual website. We're going to go back to the IDE and create a pull request for this branch. So let's go ahead and end that now. We can actually say that we're done with development. Let's do a git branch to see where we are. We are on the right branch, which is great. We're gonna go ahead and stage all of these changes. We've already gone through them. We've added extensive notes to cover what each one represents, like the change that it represents, which is fine. Now we'll do a git commit, and we'll commit it to the ticket. We add the ticket ID, like this prepended ticket ID, trend junkie-30. We add that to the beginning of our message so that Bitbucket will automatically pick it up for us, right? And connect it back to this ticket. Okay, so we're gonna say in our message, it'll be something like completed the story content, completed the base story content type, but because it starts with this ID, ticket ID, you're gonna see it gets wired up to ticket. It's gonna connect Bitbucket back to Jira automatically for us. We'll do trnd JNKEE-30 and then colon, and now we can start our message. We'll say completed base completed foundation for story content type. And then I'll say other miscellaneous changes. Nope, we won't do that. We'll just do the old overall message, and then we've already added notes for the actual PR. So we'll just do a git push here. I think we're fine. We'll do a git push here, and then we'll head over to the browser. Okay, and we'll go grab we'll head over to GitHub, which is here, and we'll just go to that actual branch now. We should have a pull request that we can create. So we'll do a compare and commit. We want our base branch to be developed always. Okay, so we want the newest branch that we made to eventually go back into the develop branch. So now that we've changed that to say that that's what we want, we can actually just confirm that there's the number of file changes we want and the actual things that we want to change, right? So I'm gonna spot check this real quick. Yep, those look good. Yep, that's the video stuff that we added. Those are the optimizations that we made. There's the 2 new methods. Yep, everything's looking good. Everything's looking good. There's nothing in here that I wouldn't expect to see, which is that's where things get dangerous. But nothing in here looks new to me, which is good. Well, nothing in here looks odd to me based on what I know I submitted to the code base. How about that? That sounds better. So yep, this is it. And it's going in the right direction. Otherwise, the things that we see in green, if we were going in the wrong direction, you'd see the opposite things in green. What this is basically saying is everything that we were changing that we would expect to see, that's exactly what is being submitted to the code base. So now I'm gonna head back over to my IDE and grab those notes that I took, right? So I'm gonna add these here as just a bulleted list, easy to consume. And I'll always say something like, this ticket includes the following changes. Okay, sorry, not this ticket, this pull request. Okay, includes the following changes. And then now I have like a bulleted list. I'll make this bold, just give it a little bit of flair. And then if we go to preview this, which I imagine that I can't remember, it's done here. Here we go. If we go to preview this message, this is what it's going to look like, nice and clean, right? Nice and neat. So I think we're good. I am going to now create the pull request. I am the only person that can review pull requests, so it's fine. But what I do want to start setting up, well, this is probably going to be the very last thing we do. But eventually, I'm not going to say very last thing. Once we get some front end done, the very next thing we'll do after that is actually connect everything back to Vercel. Because as you notice, my Vercel is actually failing to deploy, which is something's off there, probably some authentication. I'm pretty sure if we dig into it, we'll figure out what's not working. That's totally fine now, right? So now I have a PR up and running, but obviously some of my Vercel bots, and these are automated features for GitHub, and I don't know why I was saying Bitbucket earlier. It's actually GitHub and Jira. These are automated features that you can write in. These are pipelines that you can set up so that certain things happen automatically the moment you submit a PR. And this is some things like testing, automation, and this is where CI/CD comes in, right? The continuous integration, continuous deployment. You want to make it in such a way where the moment you submit a PR, before anything else happens, right? As soon as your PR gets approved by, as soon as your PR is submitted, it immediately starts a test. It has a test being ran against it. And that test is just going to do things like your npm builds, your validation, any kind of validation automation that you may have in place, and it's going to try and build your experience. And if it can, it's going to say, all right, you're good to actually merge this back into develop. If it can't, it's going to say, hey, before you consider merging this, you might want to look at some of these issues that we flag as failures. So for us, I know I just need to go into configure all of this correctly. I probably just don't have it configured correctly, but we won't worry about that until we get to the front end side of this, which is next time we meet. Actually, we'll be enabling sanity.js. We'll be enabling Next.js. We'll be wireframing. I know I said we wouldn't wireframe, but we are gonna take a step back and wireframe out a experience for the 3 page types we have. We're gonna do that before we get to developing, and then we're gonna look at what tools are available in the Next.js framework and Sanity UI. What tools are available for us to leverage to bring those wireframes to life. And then finally, we're going to circle back to Vercel and figure out how to actually get our CI/CD pipeline in place. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and squash and merge this. We know there were errors, there were issues, but yes, we're going to confirm squash and merge. And this is merging our code back into the develop branch. So we are okay with that. Now that the PR was successfully merged, I'm going to delete the branch. We don't need that branch anymore now that the PR was merged. And now I am going to head over to develop, right? So I'll go to my code base. I'll switch over to my develop branch. Okay, and I just want to confirm that now the story content type is in here, which it is, right? So now, normally what I'm about to do is something that you would put on some like 2-week cadence. But I'm not going to do that, right? I think that until I get my deployments and stuff working and until I get a little farther along in my workflows, I am going to just always keep develop as close to main as possible. I don't want to have to deal with going back through like loads and loads of code. So now that I saw everything working, I am going to just immediately, because we're so early on in the project, I'm going to immediately create my merge for develop to go back into main, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to paste the ticket information this time to represent what exact work this this merge event consisted of. Okay, so I'm just going to do this completed work for that ticket. Okay, and now that I have this in place, I feel way more comfortable creating this PR that's going to push all these develop changes into main. Okay, so I'm going to create that pull request. We know we're going to get some failures. That's not something we need to worry about. Okay with that. All right, so it looks like we do have some merge conflicts, which are always fun. And okay, these are minor conflicts. I am going to wonder if I can that's okay. Let me just deal with these the manual way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a git checkout. I'm gonna go back to the IDE and I'm gonna do a git checkout of the develop branch. Git checkout develop, right? And now that we're on develop, I should be able to do a git pull origin main. Yes. And I should get some I should get a merge conflict in here. Uh-oh. Wait. So check out the branch that has the issue. Pull from the origin. Yeah, I would have thought that would have worked. Yeah, let's just hit sync changes. See if that worked or not. Right. That didn't look like it worked actually. Well, yeah, no, I don't want. I do want these issues to get fixed. Oh, I can use the web editor for this? So this is what they mean when they, so 6 conflicting files, 1 conflict. Are they saying I can actually fix this how I want to fix it? Because I'm not seeing how I can solve it, though. Oh, I can edit these myself. So silly. I didn't realize that I was able to edit these, guys. That is actually pretty cool. So what they're saying here is this is what it was before, right? It was everything up to this point, right? This is what's on main, and this is what I just added. Everything in here is what I just added. So I actually want to just simply remove my entry and the exit points, right? So, and that guy. Ew, this is so ugly doing it this way though. Like I'm actually used to doing this in the IDE itself, not manually. This sucks. And then they just ask you. Hang on, let me see something. Let's do get checkout. All up again. Okay, and then let's do get pull. Let's say get pull. No. Okay, and now I should get hit with merge conflicts, which I should have never pressed that. I shouldn't have pressed that. I might have to shut down and here, let's do this. Let's do. Well, sure, right? I don't need to. Oh, are they showing me the Yay! They're showing me the merge conflicts. That's great. That's what I was hoping for. So here, I want to always accept these incoming changes, right? Because I'm trying to flatten a branch right now. So if I come here, I'll just accept these incoming changes. Yeah, these are good. This is good. This is what I was hoping for. Okay, so I'll come here. Now here's a set of incoming changes. This is the comment blocks I created for the date formatter. This is the comments I added for the is unique across all documents. Actually give this some kind of a space or I don't know what's not working. Oh, cannot redeclare. That means that it's gonna be at the bottom. We had it at the bottom, we moved it up. So this is another incoming change that I want to keep. And the incoming change here is just deleting this, right? Because now we have this guy at the top. So now this file is clean. We can move on to the next one. And this is why I wanted to do it in the IDE opposed from trying to do it in the browser. It's a little more difficult to do it there. But incoming change here, this is just us importing these new classes. The incoming change here would be adding the additional stuff on the additional changes to the image element. Remember, we optimized that. All right, so we made a few changes there. We added the video element, so there's not going to be any conflicts with that. All right, let's come here. Let's say for the accept those changes, right? Incoming changes here. Everything looks good. Okay, and now we have a clean slate. Now the only thing I don't know how to deal with are those things, but I won't worry about that. We don't need to save this. We already paid that ticket. Now I'm gonna shut that that code editing down, and then I'm gonna open it up again. Bear with me. Click that, and then we'll do open projects. That'll be the trend Junkyard. No, not this one. That'll actually be open recent. It's gonna be the sanity list. Wait, what's that? Oh yeah, no. So I don't know why I keep doing that. Open recent sanity list. Save that. There we go, and back over here, VS Code. There we go. All right, so we're back up. And now, now that this is working again, I have to actually go fix these changes. So these are gonna be, I think, the same thing. Oh, now that they are resolved, I have to actually merge them back now. This was frozen a moment ago, but that's what that really looks like. And now that those changes are ready to go, this should be an exact replica of the develop branch, right? So now I'm just gonna push these. I'm just gonna do a git commit to develop, right? I basically just cleaned up our develop branch. So I'm gonna do a git commit. And then I'm gonna do that trend junkie ticket. I'll just keep this as being a part of that. So, no, I'm not gonna make this a part of that. I'm gonna actually just say this is gonna be a special key that we keep handy ourselves. And maybe this is tied to an epic though. Maybe if we look over in Jira, there's an epic that we can tie this to. So if we go to our backlog, let's see if there's an epic we can tie this to. So yeah, let's tie it to DevOps. Okay, we'll tie this to the DevOps epic. And whenever we need to go look back through all of our DevOpsy things, we'll have this actually Trend Junkie 8, right? We'll have this epic that we'll always push to serve as the merge placement ticket. So when I do this, it should at least have a commit on it. So Trend Junkie 8. Let's just copy that real quick. Alright, so Trend Junkie 8, and then we'll say clean up develop branch and prep to merge to main. Alright, full beans. Push that out. Okay. And then I was just going to say, I think this is going to clean up itself now that every conflict has been resolved. So what I was referring to is in the IDE, we just pushed out those changes, right? We just did first we did a git commit to that Trend Junkie 8. We left a little commit message, and then we did a git push, and every conflict we had here in our, in this left rail here, all those conflicts vanished because now our remote and our local are totally in sync. Now we'll go back over to the browser. Last thing we'll do here is go back to GitHub, and now we're ready to actually merge develop back to main, right? So we should already have a pull request open, which is here, right? Now we'll go to develop, and now we should be good, right? Now this branch has no conflicts with the base branch being main. Okay, now this branch has no conflicts with the base branch because we went in and manually resolved all those merge conflicts. So that's another reason why I want to try and keep in lockstep with this. I don't want to have to go guessing all the things that might be different across our develop branch and our main branch, and then like constantly having to go clean up merge conflicts. That could get a little annoying. So we never want to delete the develop branch, so we're going to leave that here. Eventually we'll do things like include release branches where the develop branch gets merged into a release branch every single time I make a change that I approve, and then eventually only thing we have to do is merge the release branch into develop, right? So it kind of avoids some of that work. All right, guys, I'm going to go close that ticket out. We are good to go. We have officially added our story content type, and I should have moved this to in progress. That's normally what you do when you started on some work. But we've resolved this now, so I am going to mark this as complete. And we have one more week to finish this sprint. We gave ourselves 2 weeks. There's actually 4 days remaining, and I will be doing some work tomorrow. So hopefully we can get this sprint knocked out. If we don't, no big deal. This is our world, right? We can do whatever we want. So thank you guys for tuning in. I had a really good time tonight. It's pretty late. I'm a little tired, but I had a really good time finishing that story content type. We ran into some issues. We learned. We grew as a team. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hope to see y'all for the next one, man. Hey, I've been Combo Junkie. Thank y'all for joining the Junkyard. Make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe button if you haven't already. And peace out, my guys and gals, my developers. I'll see y'all next time. Spam them hearts to the chat.